Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. What's going on? I got my Cable Guy Matt t-shirt on tonight, and I'm hanging on out and ready to have a great show. I'm excited about tonight's guest. John Russell is here, 50 years as a psychic medium. He's got some incredible paranormal stories to share with us. Dirty Filth will bring in the cartoons, and all of you in Chatland will make it a great show as well, like Race Fan in the gold medal position. Jeffrey DeRuin taking home the silver and B with the bronze. John Swan, Roy Boy, Mama Susan, how y'all doing? Thanks for coming on in. Hi, Nightmare and D. Cohen. Glad to have you back. Kathleen Hughes, one of our favorite veterans who listens to this show. Black Dragon, the former Marine, still tough as nails. And thank you, Black Dragon, for your incredible service. And we really do appreciate it. Dark Woods, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. NorCal, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. Hi, Cosmic Floor. Holly, how you doing? Dirty Filth, good to see you. Samantha, Michael Godbold, good to have you here. Bigfoot Michigan Rob is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. To the left of the studio, he will also accept new bandanas as payment. That's right. Let's continue on here. And Jenny, nice to have you here. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you see Uncle Dale in Austin, Texas, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through Labor Day weekend. Let's roll on here. Science Melinda is here from Australia. She'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, to the right of the studio. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Joshua S. Lara, how are you doing? Paranormal Pixie. Good to see you. And Noble Patrick, Jessica McCreary, Millennium, Dennis Banky, nice to have you all here. Ann Palmer, good to see you. Jules, nice to have you back. Dim to Dim, one of my favorite names to say. How are you? Rui in Portugal, good to have you here. Ruger Ridge, how you doing, man? Pam Harris, nice to see you. And where are we going? There, Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got Lola. Yeah, you do. All right, Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube, right there. And as we continue on with roll call, River Dogma, thanks for coming on in. And Merle is here. Merle it up, people. Merle. Yeah, it just feels good coming off the tongue like that. Merle. That's right. Merle it up, people. Alien Critter, nice to have you back. Monty Mole, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. TMI, thank you. Lo and Behold, welcome to SOR Chat. Lacey Blue, welcome to SOR Chat from Washington State. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a Merle from Dirty Filth. Michael Gutierrez, Nicholas Shaughnessy. And who else is here? Let's take a look here. We are caught up as for right now. Do us all a favor, if you don't mind, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. It really does help with our algorithms as we continue to build this channel. Hey, we just hit 18,000 subscribers the other day, like 5 days ago. We're already well over 18,100. We are picking up some steam here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel, and it's all because of you guys. All of it. So thank you so much. Hey, Grandmaster, The Gong Show. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Invisible Tracker, Marty Burback. Good to have you guys back. Thank you for joining us. And, yeah, you can do some shopping at the Spaced Out Radio website Just go into the shop button. It's all right there for you. You can get classic shirts like Cable Guy Matt. Absolutely. And then maybe, just maybe, he'll send you a free piece of coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. You can't buy those in stores, people. Just a reminder on that. All right, we're about 10 seconds away. John Russell is here. You will be very, very proud of his beard. It is fantastic, and we're going to rock it on out. But I need a favor from all of you. Horns up. Oh, maybe not yet. You'll be holding it for like 30 seconds. I got all excited. I'm so pumped for tonight's show. So we'll try that again in like 15 seconds. Jurassic Joey, how are you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. And 10 seconds to go. Let's see if Dave will not screw this one up, because it's time to rock. It's time for you to get your horns up. Let's do this thing. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting here sweating in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirkey Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to hear a ton of personal experiences from our guest, John Russell. Then in hour number 3, we'll head to the swamp as Swamp Dweller's back. Robin McRae filling in for Super Duke on the Cryptid Report. It's Dave 101 night, and we'll try and fit in Shirkey Poo's news as well. John Russell, who, by the way, has an incredible beard. As you know, we score beards around here. And if you haven't noticed by now, no, it's not a fetish. It's just making it feel like it's all part of the family. John has been a professional psychic for over 50 years. He's internationally known and has provided psychic readings for clients in over 40 countries. John has filmed a TV pilot for the History Channel in which he psychically explored the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. And for over 15 years, he has been a popular featured guest, heard worldwide on many radio shows and podcasts. In fact, just in the last couple of years, like in the last year and a half or so, he's done over like 150 interviews. You can find his books on Amazon. Tonight, we're in about experiences. This is going to be a fun show. I can't wait to start this off. John Russell, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
Dave, thank you very much. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. We got a good audience. We're going to have a good time tonight. And thanks for the beard comment. I love my beard.
Well, you should. I mean, it's very impressive, you know, and it's still got some color to it. See, I look like Santa Claus. When my beard gets about that long, I literally look like Santa Claus. So I'm kind of jealous.
I'm getting there. Mine still has a little color to it, but I'm getting there. There's some white starting to show up. So,
well, you know what? Trust me, my friend. If you got cheeks the size of chipmunks like I do, you know, it forms in and it automatically rounds out. Yeah, it's Santa Claus. You know, it's funny, though, because I will say this. I'm 49 years old, and I always said to myself, ever since I was a kid, I was in Children's Hospital as a young kid with a muscular problem. And I remember, you know, athletes coming in and everything. And when I was in there, it was in October of, I believe, 1984. 85. I was in grade 5 at that point. Mm-hmm. And so 84. Nonetheless, I was in Children's Hospital for a couple of weeks, and I remember all these people who would come in to entertain the kids and everything. And I remember saying to myself right then and there, you know, when time comes, I want to do something. And then, you know, at 11 years old, I still kind of believed in Santa Claus.
Right.
As I got older, it was like, you know what? I want to be, when I hit 65 and I'm retired and my kids are grown up, I want to be the dude who goes and helps spend my retirement on children in need and children in hospitals and everything like that. So I shouldn't complain too much that my beard is white. I kind of you know, put it out there to the universe. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess I'll call it a blessing. I'll call it a
blessing. Absolutely. And I got a few years on you. I'm 68, so I got a little bit of few years on you.
Oh, wow. I would love to look like you at 68, my friend. Holy cow.
Bless your heart. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about your last 50 years, my friend, because you have had ultimate experiences, from alien encounters to ghosts, spirits, angels. And I want to really get into all of this, because a lot of times we bring in somebody like you who is extremely knowledgeable in all fields, but sometimes we forget about the stories that you have over the years. And, you know, before we get into some of those stories, for you growing up with this ability to communicate with spirits on the other side, I mean, obviously that was normal for you, but was that a trend in your family?
My family did have a history of paranormal experiences and psychic experiences, particularly on my mother's side, not so much my father's side, but on my mother's side. And that went back several generations. But I got the most powerful psychic gift and the most experiences. I've had, to date, I've had way over 1,000 physical paranormal experiences. And a lot of those we've caught on film, we've caught on camera, we've caught on audio, been witnessed by other people. So it's been an interesting life from early on.
How did you get through the younger years of this? Because, you know, from the ages of, say, 10 years old to 20 years old, it's a very difficult time. We're trying to find ourselves. We're in transition. High school is never fun. Doesn't matter what age you are or what group you're hanging out with. You know, being different, it didn't help.
Yeah, being different is difficult anyways. And then to be psychic, you know, psychic gifts have always been denigrated, made fun of, doubted, castigated. And so you add that into the mix of growing up, and it made it very difficult. You know, I was, I think, closer to the spirits on the other side than I was to physical people many times. And, you know, growing up, it was just so normal, so natural what I experienced that it was an everyday occurrence. And, you know, people, as you know, can be very cruel when you're growing up. It's difficult to fit in. And then you add in the psychic mix, and that made it very problematic. That made it very difficult. So I was either made fun of, or I was feared, or I was sometimes sought out, you know, help me, tell me what's going on, tell me what's going to happen, this, that, and the other. And so it was a difficult time. You put that in the mix of an adolescent growing up, and it compounded things. Absolutely.
I can absolutely see where you would have, or anybody for that matter would have, you know, have troubles with that. For you, did your experiences all kind of happen at once, or did the phenomena actually take its time with you and give you bits and pieces?
Actually, it was pretty linear. It started when I was 5 years old. I was sound asleep, and it was late at night. It was like 1, 2 in the morning. And I woke up suddenly completely, totally wide awake. No grogginess, no drowsiness, just totally wide awake. And I thought, well, this is really odd. Maybe I heard a noise outside. Something happened that awakened me. And I laid there in bed and listened. I didn't hear anything. And I thought, well, this is really strange. This is really odd. So I raised up on my elbows and kind of looked around my room. My parents had left a nightlight on down the hallway. And as I raced up and looked out my bedroom door down the hallway, and the doorway down the hallway, this elderly black gentleman was peering around the doorway looking at me. And my family's white, and we didn't have anyone black living with us, didn't have anyone in the house with us. So my natural assumption as a 5-year-old was that somebody had broken in. And I screamed bloody murder. And when I did, the elderly black gentleman walked around the doorway into the hall, started walking toward the bedroom. Now, I knew he was elderly because he had close cropped white hair and he had a white mustache. And he was every bit as solid as you or I. He wasn't translucent, wasn't transparent. He was totally, completely solid. And I can tell you what he had on. He had on a red plaid flannel shirt. He had on khaki pants, black belt, black shoes. And as he walked toward me, I screamed bloody murder again. I heard my parents start to come running, and he began to vanish. And when he vanished, it dawned on me that I had seen my first ghost. And even though he had vanished, I told my parents, I said, somebody's in this house. And my fright was so real that my mother held me, tried to console me. My father went through the house, looked under all the beds, looked in the closets, checked the doors and windows. They were all locked up. Nobody was there in a physical body. But I knew that someone had been there and vanished, and I realized I had seen my first ghost. And that man came to open up the portal to these paranormal experiences that I began to have. And they occurred on the physical realm. They were not things that I dreamed, that I had in a vision, that I imagined or whatever. They occurred on the physical realm. And my parents witnessed a lot of these. My friends witnessed a lot of these occurrences. And it began to dawn on me that he came to open up this portal to these experiences, and that these experiences were going to be fantastically important to me and to other people down the road. I couldn't articulate that as a 5-year-old, but I understood it on some level. And after that occurred, I was about 6. And having had all these paranormal experiences, I didn't yet realize that I had this psychic gift. When I was about 6, I was out in the backyard playing with a toy, and this car pulled into the driveway, and I didn't recognize the car, didn't recognize the people. So I ran inside and got my parents, and I said, somebody just pulled in the driveway. I don't know who these people are. And they said, okay, we'll come out and check. So they came out and I said, oh, these are friends of ours. And I didn't know them. I had never met them. So they got out of the car and they were standing on the sidewalk talking to my parents. And I was milling around the backyard with my toy. And I walked over to them and stood in the group, and I looked up at them and I said, you folks have just been on vacation, and you drove that car that's in the driveway, and you have 2 kids. They're not with you today, but you have 2 kids, and you took them with you on vacation in that car, and you went to this hotel, and it looked like this in front, and it looked like this in back, and I described it in detail. And the lady looked at me bug-eyed with her jaw agape like I had cobras coming out of my ears. And she looked at my parents and she said, how the hell could he possibly know that? And my parents were kind of taken aback. And my mom said, well, kids and their imaginations. And she goes, no, that didn't account for anything. Kids and their imagination doesn't count. How the hell could he possibly know that? And my parents didn't know how to answer. And she said, that's what we came to tell you was about the vacation we just took. And we drove our car. We took our 2 kids. The hotel we stayed in was exactly like John described. How the hell could he possibly know that? And my mom and my dad were like, John, go play. And I was like, okay, nice to meet you folks. I took off with my toy and I scared them to death. They never came back to visit my parents again. And that was when I discovered that I had the psychic gift and that I could see into people's lives. I knew what had happened in their lives. I could read their emotions. I could tell where they'd been. And then it progressed to the point that I could predict what was going to happen in their futures accurately. And so I began to study that gift, research everything I could find, read everything I could find, see what I could do to make it better, see what worked, what didn't. And that's how it all began.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
what did your parents do after this happened? You know, did they kind of sit down and talk with you and say, son, we need to have a talk here? You know, that there are times and places where this is acceptable and not acceptable.
Right. Well, my mom was very accepting and encouraging of my gift, and she explained as much as she could, answered as many questions about it as she could. My dad was kind of a closet believer, and I say closet believer because he was kind of hidebound by the church upbringing that he had, and he knew that any acceptance of the paranormal would bring the wrath of the church down on him. And then he was scared of it. He was a tough guy. He was a rancher, and then we owned a bar, and he was his own bouncer. He kept a blackjack behind the bar, and he was quick to use it if necessary. But the paranormal was something that he couldn't confront. He couldn't grab it. He couldn't manhandle it. He couldn't fight it. He couldn't control it. It manifested as it wanted to, and he had no control over that. So it really scared him. So he tried to avoid it. But my mother was very encouraging about the gift.
Okay, so with mom being very encouraging and dad having the religious background, did you ever feel that tug of war happening? Because obviously you wouldn't have known as a little guy that mom and dad were probably discussing this, but I mean, there had to be a little bit going on there.
Well, the interesting thing was we had a very, very religious household. And, I grew up in the church in a mainline Presbyterian church. And my mother was actually a Sunday school teacher. So, we had the requisite pictures of Jesus around, and we studied the Bible, read the Bible, and, prayed before meals and celebrated Christmas in a very Christian way, and had these paranormal experiences and held seances and everything else at the same time. So, from our viewpoint, there was no contradiction, no problem. But from most religions' viewpoint, there was this dichotomy of, anything paranormal was of the devil or evil or whatever. And we didn't have that contradiction, that problem in our house. We grew up in the church, stayed in the church. My mom taught Sunday school in the church, and we had all these paranormal experiences, studied the Bible, prayed, everything else. And for us, there was no contradiction, no problem.
As time went on, as a youngster, did going into your teenage years where it gets a little bit more difficult, did the experiences start getting a little bit more exasperating, or was it for you pretty much the same right up till it is now?
No, it's always been pleasant experiences, because I have literally had my life saved by my guardian angels, by those on the other side. I've had positive paranormal experiences. They've guided my life. They've helped me. So all the experiences to me were comforting. And I think that in some aspects, I was closer to the other side than I was to people in the physical realm here. Because people in the physical realm could be unreliable. They could be duplicitous. They could be cruel, disingenuous. And on the other side, those spirits always comforted me, guided me, and helped me. So it was a very good experience for me all the way through.
When did the aliens show up?
Oh, when I was, I guess, close to 20, I had this amazing plethora of paranormal experiences. And I had started reading professionally at the age of 18, but I did not believe in UFOs. Didn't believe in them. Just wasn't going to have it. I had read the stories. I'd read the magazine articles. I'd read the books. I'd seen the interviews. I was like, nope, just not buying it. And I was at a place late in the afternoon, and I was in a car at the time. Wasn't on my motorcycle then. I was in a car at the time, and the car was parked from this building. There was a narrow 2-lane road and a parking lot, and I could see the parking lot when I stepped out the door of this building. And this is in West Texas, and in West Texas, there's severe, violent weather frequently. And I came out the door of this building, and the first thing that hits me in the face is this blast of wind. And I looked up, and it's overcast, and the clouds are churning. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. We're either going to have a bad thunderstorm or maybe even a tornado. We were at the southern tip end of Tornado Alley. And I said, well, I better make a run for my car before the weather really hits. So I look across the street in the parking lot. I can see my car. And sitting by my car, coming down from the clouds above and attached to the clouds above, is this column of a cloud that comes down and sits in the parking lot. And it's about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 feet in diameter. And it's round, it's a column, and it's churning and it's rotating. As I watch this thing, there are these glowing orbs that come out from within the cloud and then recede back in. And they're phosphorescent in color, and they're red, and they're orange, and they're yellow, and green, and purple. And I'm watching this, and honest to God, Dave, the first thing that comes to my mind is I think I'm relatively healthy and so on and so forth. And I've had all these paranormal experiences, but honest to God, the first thing that comes to my mind is I've snapped. I've gone crazy. I've gone nuts. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, this just can't be. And I'm standing there watching this, and I notice another peculiar phenomenon. Down around the base of the cloud, there's some debris in the parking lot, like some old, paper cups and this and the other pieces of paper, whatever. And they should be whirling and churning or being blown by this cloud activity, and they're not. They're perfectly still. And I'm like, okay, further evidence that I'm snapped. I've lost it. I've gone crazy. I'm going to go to my car. I'm going to get in. I'm going to go to the hospital. I'm going to say, hey, I've had this huge hallucination. What's wrong with me? Diagnose me. Help me out. Honest to God, this is my thought. And I have this crazy inspiration. This thought comes to me, and it says, walk towards the cloud. So I walk towards the cloud, and it moves toward me. And I stop, and it stops. I back up, and it backs up. I do that a few more times. And I'm back by the door where I came out of. The door opens, whacks me in the back. This buddy of mine comes out and he goes, oh man, I'm sorry. He said, what are you doing standing so close to the door? And without waiting for me to answer, he looks up and he goes, oh boy, it looks like we're in for it. And then he looks across and he sees the cloud. And he goes, what in the world is that? And I'm so happy I could dance a jig. I'm like, I'm not crazy. It's real. He sees it too. And I said, watch this. And I walk towards the cloud. It moves toward me. I back up, it backs up. Do that a few times. I look at him and I say, isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever seen? He looks at me like I'm the weirdest thing he's ever seen. He goes, bye. Scares him to death. He's out of there. His car's the other way. So he goes off. So I'm left here now alone with this thing. And I'm like, what do I do? So about this time, the cloud goes back up into the clouds above, and the clouds begin to pass over really quickly. And so I'm like, wow. I run for my car, and I'm like, what in God's name was that? Get in my car, start my car up. And I get out and I start to drive, and the rain begins. Now, this is not an everything's bigger in West Texas story. In Texas, the rain can come down in 20 minutes. It'll leave an inch of water in your yard. It'll flood underpasses, things like that. It can rain really heavily. So I was used to severe weather. I was used to rain, but this rain starts coming down. And Dave, I've got my headlights on in my car. I've got the wipers on high. I cannot see but about a foot past the hood of my car. That's how heavy it's raining. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. I'm like, my God, now, what do I do? I'm in the roadway. I can't stop. Somebody's going to hit me. I'm going to hit somebody. I got to keep poking along. I got to keep driving, but I can't see. And I'm poking along. There's cars angle parked on the side of the street. And I'm trying to lean over and see where those are so I don't scrape them. I can't see them. And I pick up the headlights of the car.
John, I'm going to get a hold on right there. We're going to finish this story when we come to your first alien encounter. John Russell, 50-year psychic. Story night all night long on Spaced Out Radio. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tune in now.
I think you got a bunch of us on the edge of our seats here.
Good. It's a good story. It's really wild.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be awesome.
Yep.
I'm pumped for this one. Pumped up.
Well, I tell you, this is just the start of some really, really great stories.
I bet. Let's see if we can zoom in on Dirty Filth here. See what he's working on. We'll go here. We'll throw him up here. And, well, looks like, I don't know. Filth John wants to know your 2 favorite colors. John, did you freeze up?
No, I'm here.
Filth wants to know your 2 favorite colors.
Oh, my 2 favorite colors.
Yeah.
Red and green.
Red and green. You got that, Filth?
There
That's the power of the thumbs up right there.
you go. I see he's got a star there, and I don't know what the rest is, but I see the star.
Oh, within about half an hour, this is going to start coming to fruition.
And there's an interesting star story I have to share with you as well. So,
Oh, yeah. We will get into that. John, 50 years in. Anything scare you anymore?
no, never been frightened of anything. I've been startled. I mean, if you're in the house by yourself, you're by yourself, the doors are locked, and you turn around, there's a person standing there that startles you, and then they disappear, and you go, oh, okay, but never been scared of anything.
Wow. All right. Let's go there. Bigfoot, would it scare you if you encountered it?
I don't think it would scare me. I would be respectful and cautious. And I have had a client that regularly goes with a group of people to visit Bigfoots, and they interact with them and have quite peaceful interactions. And the Bigfoots actually bring them little gifts and presents, little stones and things, and leave for them.
Yeah. Oh, I think we've all kind of done that, but oh my goodness. Let's see here. Simon and my brother Eugene, how you guys doing tonight? Thank you for joining us. Simon's going to be MIA for a little while. I don't like that, Simon. Don't like that. All right. Let's see there. Dirty Filth is always so delicate with his paint brushes, dipping them into the paint. Yeah. When we were in Las Vegas for our Vegas party, Filth was walking around with his shirt off, and he got called Sasquatch a few times there.
The hairy chest, eh?
Oh, no, that ain't hairy. That's fur.
There you go.
I know you're laughing, Filth. DD836, we will take a look into that for last night's show. I wonder why it's starting there. I know we had... No, that was 2 nights ago. We had some tech issues due to Microsoft updates, but we should be good. I'll check it out for you, though, DD. Thanks for coming into our chat room. Mm-hmm. Looks like we may have a door. We may have a door.
Or a portal.
We got about 30 seconds.
All right.
We're going to launch back. And thank you to Lala for the amazing super chat, kicking things off tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you, Lala, for getting it going tonight. And don't forget, you can do some shopping at our website, spacedoutradio.com. Grab yourself some swag there. And let's see here. Trisha, thank you so much for the love. Appreciate that. Marky Spender calls that the door to taco time. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Let's do this thing together, shall we? My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirkey Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with author, researcher, psychic medium John Russell tonight. And right before the break, John, you were coming on in and you were talking about this incredible first encounter you had with extraterrestrials. John, welcome back, and let's get to it.
Thank you. Yeah, so to continue the story, this rain is coming down so hard that I literally cannot see more than a foot past the hood of my car. And I pick up the reflection of my headlights on this bumper of the car in front of me, get stopped, look up, there's this little teeny tiny red glow that I can see, and I realize it's a stoplight. And I know where I'm at. There was a Sears Roebuck store that we had there, and it fronted Beauregard Street, and the back was on Twig Street, and there was a big parking lot back there, and they had an automotive center and a huge parking lot, and you could go in the back of the store there. So my plan was to creep along Twig Street, try and see that entrance, get into the parking lot, park. I knew I'd get soaked, but I didn't care. I knew if I kept driving, I was going to hit somebody, somebody's going to hit me. So I would park, run into the store, and go down to the basement where they had the best sporting goods department on the planet. And I'd look at the sporting goods, wait for the storm to pass, then I'd drive home. So I'm poking along. I make the turn onto Twig Street, and I'm staying as close as I can to the car in front of me without hitting it. I'm using it as kind of a reference. And the car behind me almost hit me because literally you can't see. And I'm leaning over. I had a bench seat, and I'm leaning over in my car, trying to look out the passenger window and see where the cars are angle parked so I don't scrape them. Can't see them. And the rain is coming down that hard where there is like literally zero visibility. And then count it. 1001, it's gone. Doesn't stop, doesn't slack off. It's gone. The rain has completely vanished. And visibility is returned. It's still overcast, still cloudy, but you can see all the way down the road, look in the rearview mirror, see all the way down the road that way, full visibility all the way around. And I'm like, my God, this is the strangest thing I've ever experienced in my life. What in the world's going on? And the people in the other lane are starting to drive and swerve into our lane, nearly hitting cars, and people are yelling and honking. I'm like, what in the world? Everybody's gone mad. And people are starting to jump out of their cars and point up to the sky. People are rolling down their windows and pointing up. And I look where they're pointing, and hovering over the back of the Sears building is this silver metallic UFO about 30 to 50 feet in diameter. And it's only about 30 to 50 feet above the Sears building, just hovering there perfectly still. No flame, no lights, no sound, nothing. And I literally did a cartoon eye rub. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I looked back up, and yeah, it's there. And all these people are yelling and honking and pointing. And so I reached for the door handle of my car. I'm going to get out and stand outside and get a better look. And as I reach for the door handle, the UFO just barely perceptibly moves just a tiny little bit, and the clouds rush from behind it, cover it up, and instantly the rain is back in full force, just like it was before. So there's this guy in front of me, and I follow him. He's turning into the Sears parking lot where I wanted to go. And I still can't believe my eyes. And I'm like, I don't care if I hit this guy. I'm going to follow him into the parking lot. My insurance will cover it. Fine. I'm going to talk to this guy. So he parks, I park. I don't even know if we're in parking spaces. We just park. And he jumps out. I jump out. The rain is hitting me so hard it actually hurts. I'm shielding my eyes. I'm running. I follow him into the store. And they had like a little airlock there. You go in. The basement was downstairs to your left. Another double set of doors, and went to the store proper. And he was just standing there on this floor mat where you wipe your feet. He was just staring down. And he wore glasses at the time. I didn't. And his glasses were all beaded with water. We were both dripping water like we just come out of the shower. And I walked around in front of him, and it took him a second to realize I was even there. And he looked up at me, and I said, "Did you see what I just saw?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, but I damn sure ain't going to tell nobody." And he sidestepped me and walked off through the store. And that was when I had my first UFO encounter. And I had to jump on the bandwagon and say, okay, yeah, they're real. They're here. I've seen it. I've experienced it in the presence of witnesses. And since then, I've had several other encounters. So that was my very first experience.
My goodness. How did that change your overall look? Because you were used to ghosts, you were used to spirits, angels, whatever,
Right.
the more paranormal side. But then this doorway opens to the extraterrestrial world. And did it throw you for a loop?
It did. It absolutely threw me for a loop because I had to acknowledge that extraterrestrials were real. They're here. And it changed, I had to switch religions. I had to say, okay, there it is. I've seen it in the presence of witnesses. I've seen it with my own two eyes. It is real. It is here. And it was a very life-altering moment for me.
All right. So did the ET encounters continue after that, or was this a one-shot deal?
No, they continued and continue to this day. And the frustrating thing is I don't know who they are, what their motivations or intentions are. I know they're real. I know they're here. I know they've been here for millennia, but we just don't have anything as the general public to reliably hang our hats on. Now, the governments, and especially the U.S. government, absolutely has to know what's going on. They have to know what's going on. There's no way that they can't know what's going on. For one thing, the reason I state that, one of the lines that's parroted by the U.S. government is that, we just don't have the technology to reliably, accurately capture these things, analyze these things, so on and so forth. Well, that's the biggest line of who there ever was, because I was watching a documentary on TV years ago. It's like a decade or more that I saw this documentary. And being interviewed was one of our former heads of the CIA. And this man said that, for those that are not familiar with the SR-71 Blackbird, the SR-71 Blackbird was the United States' premier spy plane. It flew so high that it flew in subspace, and it flew so fast that nothing could catch it. No other plane, not a bullet, not a rocket, not a missile. It could outrun anything. So this former head of the CIA said that during the Blackbird era, that if you put two golf balls on a putting green a couple of feet apart, and the SR-71 flew over in subspace at speed, which was something like 2,000, 3,000 miles an hour, whatever the hell it was, and took a photograph, that when you developed the film, you could clearly read which golf ball was a Titleist and which one was a McGregor. And he said at the time, that's decades old technology. Imagine what we can do now. Now, this is the former head of the CIA speaking and saying this. So our government definitely has the capability to capture these things, to study these things. And my feeling is that somewhere in the government, somebody absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt knows what these things are, who pilots these things, where they come from, and probably what their intentions are. And the big secret is kept from us all these years, and we have to, demand to know why that is, why that knowledge is kept from us.
Well, you know what? This is why I tell people is there is no such thing as disclosure. What we're
Right.
seeing today is a confirmation of the phenomena that is around us, but they have no intention of telling us the juice. They have no intention of telling us what really happened from Roswell right up to the USS Nimitz. It's a big
Right.
game. It's part of the military industrial complex because
Yeah.
the one thing we know about this planet is the team with the biggest toys always wins.
Exactly. And speaking of Roswell, I have an interesting Roswell story. Back in 1998, there was an event in Roswell called Alien Encounter 98. And I went there as part of that to do psychic readings. And Stanton Friedman was there lecturing, and I got to see him in person. That was quite exciting, and a lot of other lecturers. And one morning I got up early, and before I had to start giving readings, I decided, well, I'm here in Roswell. I have to see the Roswell UFO Museum. So I went downtown to the UFO Museum, and it wasn't open yet. I was standing outside on the sidewalk, and wasn't much foot traffic. It was early in the morning, and this lady was approaching, and I looked at her. She was walking toward me, and I nodded, and she nodded, and I said, "How you doing?" And she said, "Are you waiting for the UFO Museum to open?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Have you been here before?" And I said, "No, I've never been to the UFO Museum. As a matter of fact, it's my first time in Roswell. Kind of odd because I was born in New Mexico." And I said, I've never been back, never been here, and my first time in Roswell." And she goes, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." And I said, "Well, I'm a psychic, and I'm giving readings at Alien Encounter 98. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, well, then you'll believe what I'm about to tell you. You'll understand what I'm about to tell you." I was like, "Okay, where's this conversation going?" And she said, "When I was a kid, my brother and I were outside playing, and we saw the UFO fly over and crash." And I was like, "My God, you have got my undivided attention." So she said, we know what we saw. It wasn't a blimp. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't a balloon. It was a UFO. We clearly saw it as it went over. And she said, from the way it flew, we could tell it was in some kind of distress, some kind of problem. And as we watched it going over, we saw it crash. And I was like, "My God, this is the most phenomenal story I've ever heard." I said, "Did you tell anybody? Did you come forward and tell the press or get interviewed?" I said, "What did you do with this information?" She said, "Well, at the time that this occurred, there were people in the military, people in the government, people that we didn't know who were, that would come to the witnesses, and basically everyone was told, if you speak about this, your bones are going to be found out in the desert." And she said, "If you're a brave son of a gun, you don't fear anybody, you don't care, bring it, but you got family, you got kids, you don't want anything to happen to your wife, you don't want anything to happen to your kids, so you shut up." So she said, everybody lived in this environment of fear. And I said, "So that's why people like me haven't come forward." And I said, "Well, I can understand that." And all of a sudden, she looks up and down the street like this, and she goes, "I've said too much. I'm sorry. Bye," and walked off very quickly. So to this day, that fear remained for those people that were threatened and told not to speak about what they'd seen.
How did you react to that? I mean, was it just, were you just like, whoa, did that just happen? Or were you like, you know, wanting more? Because I'm the type of guy, and I know many of our audience, so when you get that little bit of
Yeah.
experience, you want a bigger bite.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was astonished and I wanted more, but she was scared to death still to that day. And I knew that she wasn't going to share any more with me. And so I was left with that. And as anybody that has researched Roswell and the people that lived there at the time knows, that's a pretty common experience, that people were threatened and told to shut up and told not to speak of things. And in some cases, their lives threatened like that. So it makes it very difficult for the witnesses at the time to come forward.
I want to ask you, and we're going to change subjects here, about angels.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, my whole introduction to what ended up being this radio show happened on December 13th, 2011, when I saw the angel of death in my mother's eyes, and not really believing in any of this stuff. 2 hours later, I channeled him.
Yeah.
And he told me how to keep my mom alive.
Yeah.
And to this day, knock on wood, my mother is 79 years old. Her health is failing now, but I think we got at least 13 plus years out of that conversation.
Right.
I've had another encounter with the angel of death as well. And at my partner's grandmother's my partner's grandmother was on her deathbed, and I could feel the energy there.
Yeah.
And telepathically, I was saying, come on, show yourself. Show yourself. You know, like, be a man. Show yourself.
Right.
And I watched him from the foot of the bed pull the spirit out of her body.
Yeah.
And I watched her spirit literally hang over the body, almost like he was showing it. It was like the shape of a football, but it was all swirly and cloud, like a cloud. And I'm sure you recognize that.
Yep.
But the idea behind that was, it was almost like he was showing me, is this what you want? Hey, buddy, you know, you're taunting me here. Is this what you want to see?
Yeah.
And then I watched the soul of the grandma in front of me shoot right through the ceiling, and his energy was gone like that.
Yep.
So those are my couple of my angelic experiences that I have had. For yourself, have you had something like that? And when something like the angel of death comes to you, as we got about 6.5 minutes to go here before the top of the hour, how do you react to that? How do you respond to something that heavy?
Yeah. Well, you have to realize, when you have these experiences, you have to realize these are part and parcel of our normal world, of our normal existence. These things are around us constantly, and these experiences are there constantly. And most people either ignore them or, you know, write them off as coincidence or hallucination or whatever. But these are, you know, the evidence of this paranormal realm that is around us constantly. And I've had many, many guardian angel experiences. I write about these in my books. And I think one of the most dramatic guardian angel experiences I had when I was a young man, around the time that I saw the UFO, we had these neighbors that I was living at home with my parents at the time. And these neighbors of ours, the man developed dementia. And it was really sad, because he was a really intelligent man. He was a chess player, and he was very active, built things and did his own yard work and did woodworking and all this type of thing. And it was really sad to watch him go down. And when he went down, he got violent. He had to walk on a cane. He would like strike at his wife with the cane, and then he began to hallucinate and see things, and he would swing at things with his cane. And when he would get really violent, his wife would come and get me and say, you know, can you come over and calm him down? And for some odd reason, he responded to me and calmed down when I was there, and I could always handle him. And I would come over and shave him and things like that. And one day she said, I've got some new curtains I want to put up in the living room. Can you come do that for me? I said, sure, I'd be happy to. So I went over, and he was in the den in the back part of the house, and she gave me the curtains, and there was a little step ladder they had, 3 or 4 steps on the step ladder. And she showed me where she wanted the curtains put up. And I said, okay. And she goes, I'm going to go back and watch him in the back part of the house. I said, okay, no problem. So at the time, I was very, very heavy into martial arts, and lots of martial arts. And I could bring that up because I could do these flying kicks, spinning kicks, do all these things. I knew judo, I could do tumbling, all these things. So I could handle my body very well. And I'm up on the very top rung of the step ladder and dealing with these curtains. And uncharacteristically, I lost my balance because I had very good balance. And I lost my balance and began to fall back into the left off the step ladder. And this whole occurs in a split second. It takes me a little bit of time to tell you this, but it occurs in literally a split second. And as I start to fall, I don't worry because I'm like, okay, I'll torque my body to the right and I'll fling back, torque back to the left. And as I fall, I'll spin, catch myself in the air, and I'll fall either on my hands and knees or on my hands and my feet, catch myself. I'll be okay. And it was a workable plan. I knew that from my martial arts. I knew I could do that, and I wasn't worried. So I torque my body to the right and prepare to torque back to the left as I'm falling. And this large hand catches me on my hip and my back, stops my fall, pushes me back up onto the step ladder until I'm stable, and then releases me. And my first thought, as irrational as it was that the old man with the dementia had come in somehow, unbeknownst to me, quietly, and caught me and kept me from falling off the step ladder. So the second that this hand releases me, I turn around to look and say, thank you. And there's not a soul in the flesh there. And I'm like, holy cow. And in spite of all the experiences I had, I was so gobsmacked. I got down off the ladder. I went surreptitiously, as quickly as I could through the house, back to the den. They're back in the den. He's watching TV. She's knitting or doing something. I'm like, my God. Thank you. I went back in and finished the chore and kept looking around to see if I would see anybody, and I never did. But this guardian angel literally put their hands on me, pushed me back up on the ladder, steadied me, kept me from falling, got me stable, and then vanished. And that was one of my most dramatic guardian angel experiences, and I've had several since.
My gosh, why do certain angels come to us and appear to us? Because so many people, and I'm not trying to make this a religious topic because we got about a minute to go here, but for so many people, they've prayed for years, decades, nothing has shown themselves to them, nothing. Yet for the unexpected, it happens.
Yeah. I think that part of the reason when people pray and they ask for something, they may not know how to pay attention or how to receive or how to be aware. And that's one of the things that we have to learn is how to experience that and how to listen and how to receive that guidance, because we're so plugged in and we're so inattentive. We're scrolling on the cell phone. We got the music going. We're watching TV. We're chattering with our friends, whatever. And we ask for help. And we say, oh, God, oh, my angels, where are you? Do this. Can you help me do this? And a few seconds later, we're back on the cell phone. And it takes time to connect with this invisible realm, to connect with our angels, to connect with these higher powers, and to receive that guidance. And to do that, we have to disconnect, we have to get quiet, and we have to be attentive. And I think most people aren't practiced in that or don't know how to do that.
John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because you're literally turning into the most fascinating man in the world right now. So we're going to continue on with your stories in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. We'll try and get to some audience questions as well. John Russell talking about his paranormal life
angels, ghosts, UFOs, aliens. We got it right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear.
Okay, I'm going to make a quick pit stop.
That's okay. We're going to put Dirty Filth up top here, John, and I will be able to see you when you're back. I think that might be you. I think that might be you.
I think so. That's great.
Look at that beard. Beautiful.
All right. I will be right back.
So you're all going to be right back. I hope everybody's having a good night. Black Dragon has apparently totaled 14 vehicles. Yeah, well, crash it. Hold Kira. Black Dragon crashes like 14 vehicles, just walks away from the fire and just, no, it's all good, no problem. Can't just be a regular crash, gotta be a fiery crash. Maybe an explosion. Alrighty. Do this tombstone in. It's time for inking afterwards. I actually had another idea for a drawing, but for the show, circumstances happened, and I decided to go with this one. Oh, just melting to death up here. 10,000 degrees. 10,000 degrees metric. Top of the house, sweltering heat. That's right, it's been a pretty good summer anyways. Alrighty. Finish up the little boxes. And the J and the R. Oh, sounds like someone's fighting a werewolf somewhere. With those podcasts and junk, you'd think we'd get like an alien abduction or something at some point in time. Someone's coming down to the Royal Rumble.
All right. I have returned. Let's see what's going on here in this drawing, this painting. That's pretty awesome.
So I just gotta finish the lettering, and then afterwards I ink it all up, and then it looks like a blob of nothing. Well, you kind of see some of it, but it started as just some lines, and now it's a.
Now, I can't read the lettering. What does the lettering say?
You're holding up a book, and you're saying, "Check out my first edition Book of the Dead."
Oh, there you go.
And there's a little ghost, and he's saying, "Oh, nice."
And I like the stars there. That's a very significant. I'll tell you a star story when we get back going here.
Excellent. I like stars. I always wanted to get myself a telescope, and my electrician buddy, he had a telescope sitting at his house for years, and I was like, "Should we buy that off?" He's like, "No, I gotta take it and go with my kids." And one day I was there, and I go, "Sparky, I'll buy you a case of beer if you give me that telescope." And he goes, "Okay." So I traded telescope for a case of beer.
There you go.
Standard Canadian barter system.
Yeah, there you go.
But the only problem is, it seems like anytime I want to go out where I live, it's always cloudy.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, it's like a super moon." All right, I go out. Oh, no, cloudy. Sorry, Dirty Phil, it's not happening. Thanks for coming out. Go inside and look on the internet, and everybody else having fun looking at the stars. You get to.
Yep.
All right, I just gotta let this dry up here, and then I can ink it to look real nice.
That's awesome. I love it.
Here's a Kentucky Goblin that I drew last night.
Oh, there we go. That's awesome.
Sometimes after the show, I'll just whip up another one if it's not too late. All right, most of it's good enough to start inking. It's my favorite part because I finally get to turn all my ideas from all the inking and penciling and everything And yeah,
All
it's
right,
just-
John, that's looking pretty good of a cartoon for you here, buddy.
I tell you, I like it. That's neat.
Mm-hmm. Zenzabil, how you doing, man? Just a reminder to our audience, if you have the ability to listen in and head outside, tonight is the peak night of the Perseid meteor shower. So you can listen to us and watch the Perseids at the same time. Sovereign Farts, welcome back. Let's see, who else is here? Ross Lambda, thank you for joining us. Nina Williams, welcome to SOR chat. And who else is joining us here? And I think we're Heidi in Vegas. How are you? Nice to see you. And I think we're caught up for right now. All right, we got about 30 seconds. Lala Bright is our only super chatter tonight. We really appreciate Lala's love and support of this show on a nightly basis. It's a good way to support what we do. So thank you, Lala, and anybody else who decides to super chat tonight. We very much appreciate it. Don't forget, you can get your Spaced Out Radio swag at our website, spacedoutradio.com. Here we go, everyone, with hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Trying to get a little bug out of my iced tea here. And it's still alive. Hey, welcome back to the hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Latents. Latents is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirkey Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Author, psychic medium, experiencer John Russell is with us tonight. And right before the break, we were talking about some of his angelic stories that have happened to him personally. John, welcome back to the show. Before we get into more of your experiences, I want to ask you, because over the last couple of years, there's been this big push towards proof. What is proof? You know, people in this community say they're tired of the Dave Scotts, they're tired of the John Russells, and everybody else out there who has a story of anecdotal evidence of incredible experiences that are not supposed to happen. For you, the majority of yours have been anecdotal as well. How do you defend yourself or others regarding the fact of what's happened to you, not only as A, being truthful, but B, having people accept you at your word?
Well, that's very easy. For one thing, as a professional psychic over the years, you can go to my website, which is johnrussell.net, and I have over 80 client testimonials there that talk about the accuracy of my insights in my readings and the predictions that I've made for them in my readings. So it's not anecdotal, it's fact. These people confirm that what I've told them is accurate, has happened, so on and so forth. As far as the paranormal experiences, many times those have been witnessed by other people. And over the years, I have caught paranormal activity on camera, on film, on video. and on audio through EVP and so on and so forth, electronic voice phenomenon. When I was filmed for the TV pilot for the History Channel, we caught on a FLIR camera a ghost walking across the floor and walking through me as I announced that it was happening. And we actually caught that on camera. So there is proof for these things. There is evidence for these things. And people can look at like Stanford Research Institute and the studies and the experiments that they did there, where they found that, there was evidential, proof of paranormal activity. And of course, the United States government and other governments as well have used the paranormal to further their means and have proven that it's a fact. Uri Geller, for example, on his website has a statement from the United States government saying Uri's the real deal. He worked for us. He made things happen, and so on and so forth. So the proof is out there. If you want to look for it, if you want to research it, the evidence is there.
Okay, so let's get back to your own stories here regarding your ghostly encounters, because
Right.
you've had well over 1,000 encounters
Yeah.
in the last 50 years. Many you have recorded on paranormal investigations and research.
Right.
Give us one of your favorites from over the years. Never mind the most spookiness, but one of your favorites.
One of my favorites is I had divorced, my sister had divorced, and we had moved back home to the family home, and my dad was deceased. My mother was still living, but she was in poor health. She was declining very rapidly. And my sister and I moved back home kind of ostensibly to take care of my mom, but I think we just kind of needed some shelter, kind of a soft place to fall, and so on and so forth. And there was an apartment attached to the house that my grandmother used to live in before she died. My sister was living in there, and I was living in the main part of the house in my dad's old bedroom. And my sister had a couple of little dogs, little tiny small dogs. And one of them was constantly sick, had all these health problems. It was always ill. But when it felt good, it loved to play. And she had given it one of her old house robes, and the dog would wrap up the toys that he had in the house robe and then unwrap it. And one of his favorite toys was this green squeaky frog toy, this big green frog. And he had played with it so much, it was just nasty and filthy. And it was one of his favorite things. So when my sister would go to work, she would bring the little dogs in, put them in bed with my mother. My mother loved the little dogs, and they loved her. And they'd spend most of the day in bed with my mother. And so on this really gorgeous day, I had come in, and I had made myself a sandwich, and I was sitting at the dining room table looking out the windows, just not thinking anything particular, just enjoying the day. It was a really pretty day. And I was eating my sandwich and heard one of the little dogs jump down and come up the hallway, come into the to the dining room. And I looked over my right shoulder, and it was the little sickly dog. And I watched him walk behind me, and then I turned my head to my left to watch him continue to walk into the kitchen. And when I looked to my left, there was this woman that had bent down and was looking into my eyes. She was about a foot or two from my face. I can tell you exactly what she looked like and what she wore. And it startled me. It didn't scare me, but it startled me. And I jumped up, knocked my chair over, threw my sandwich, which fortunately landed on the table, so I still got to eat my sandwich, scared the heck out of the little dog. He skittered into the kitchen, and she vanished. And in that split second, she conveyed to me why she had appeared. And she told me that she was following the little dog, that he was going to pass away. He was going to cross over within a few weeks' time. And she was there to watch over him and to help him cross over when he crossed over. Now, that should be a comfort to pet lovers everywhere. So my mother said, what in the world happened? And I said, I saw a ghost, which was normal in our house. And I said, it startled me, and I knocked my chair over. And she goes, oh, was there any message? And of course there was. I had that message, but there was no way in the world that I could tell my mother that, because it would break her heart. and I just kept it to myself. And sure enough, a few weeks later, the little dog died in his sleep. So we, like a lot of people do, we buried our dead animals in the backyard and made little graves for them and everything. So we dug the grave for the little dog in the backyard. And my sister took that robe that he loved so much and that green squeaky frog toy, wrapped that up in the blanket with him, in the robe with him, and wound it up several turns really tight. It was a little small bundle, just, he was a little small dog, so it was a little small bundle. And we put him in the hole in the backyard and filled it in. And then I put a rock over there so that it would remain undisturbed. No animals would dig him up or anything like that till the ground solidified and the grass started growing back. And it did. And I removed the rock. And so much time had gone by that the ground was completely solid. The grass had grown back in, filled back in. If you didn't know where the grave was, you would never know that any hole had been dug there. And the only way we knew where it was we had referenced it to an outdoor clothesline and an outdoor shed and some other things. So we knew exactly where it was, but it was completely filled in. The grass had grown back and no way of telling where it was. So I had a big red Doberman named Elson. She was in a pen outside and I had been out doing something. I was walking back in. I stopped and said hi to Elson. And another beautiful day and getting late in the afternoon. And I walked up the driveway. My sister wasn't home yet. My car was parked in a separate driveway we had over there. And as I'm walking up the driveway, something catches my eye out in the backyard. And I look over, and sitting on top of the little dog's grave is that green squeaky frog toy.
No way.
And I walked over there and I picked it up, and there was absolutely no doubt that it was his. And I thought, maybe my sister is playing some kind of gross psychotic joke on me. So I got down on my hands and knees and I dug around in the grass and the dirt. Everything was totally solid. Nothing was disturbed. The grass was solid. Nothing had been dug in or anything like that. So this toy had been transmuted through all those layers of cloth, all the dirt, all the grass up to the top of the grave in physical form, and sit there. And I understood that the little dog, with the help of those on the other side, was telling me, hey, I made it. I'm okay. I'm still alive. Want you to know I'm here. Want you to know I love you. Want you to know I'm thinking about you. So I took that frog and I put it on the steps into the apartment, went in, told my mom what had happened, waited for my sister to get home. And we heard my sister's car pull into the driveway. The engine shut off and the door didn't open and close. And I knew what was happening. She was sitting there thinking, I've got to be hallucinating because she's seen this frog on the steps where I'd put it. So finally I hear the car door open and close. And she comes running through the house in there, and I'm laughing. And she comes in holding that frog in her hand. She goes, did you see this? And I said, yeah, I'm the one that put it there. And she said, where was it? And I said, on top of the little dog's grave. And she goes, no. And she goes out there, digs around the dirt, feels around the dirt. Everything's solid. Everything's intact. And so she said, well, give this toy to Elsa to play with. Let her have it. We'll kind of keep it in the family. And Elsa played with it for a long time until she tore it up. And so there's irrefutable proof that our pets do exist after they die, that they can come back, that they can communicate with us. And that's one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite experiences I've had.
I don't blame you on that. I mean, we have such a great attachment to our household pets that we don't even call them pets anymore. We call them part of our families, you know.
Absolutely.
And like I look at we've had a couple of cats pass away and a dog pass away in the last few years. And, you know, it's funny. The dog, the only time the dog came by was that, I think it was the first or second night. And she was a little Chihuahua Dachshund cross. Mm-hmm. And literally, she was in my spot underneath the blanket.
Yeah.
And I said, her name was Zero. I said, Zero, you got to move, honey. And I felt her get up, move from underneath the blanket on top of the blanket, and then just disappeared.
Yep.
You know, but the cats The cats to this day, oh geez, it was about a week and a half ago. I was lying in bed and I felt like we have 3 cats in our house. And I was lying in bed, felt one of the cats jump onto the bed, crawl on top of me, off of me, towards the missus. And when I got up, because it was now annoying me, because it was right in that moment, right before you go into your deep sleep.
Right.
And I picked up my head to shoo the cat over and off of me. And I looked and there was no cat there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I've had a lot of those experiences, and I had a couple of cats that I loved very, very dearly. And when they died, both of them came back in the flesh.
Oh my.
visit me. I have a photograph of one, and the other one I actually got to touch, pet, and hold before it vanished and disappeared. So our pets do live on. They can come back and visit with us, and it's a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing. And people that love pets, that's a story of truth that should comfort them, let them know that they do live on.
Right. So many times we want loved ones to come back, whether it's pets, whether it's, family, mom, dad, brother, sister,
Right.
aunt, grandma, grandpa, whoever it may be. Why do some family members choose to come back and let their presence known, and then others do not? And I'll give an example about this. When my grandmother passed away in 1988, it was a few months before my nephew was born, about 4 or 5 months before my nephew was born. And my sister was absolutely heartbroken because she was very close to my grandmother. Both my grandfathers have come to me on the other side. Not lately, okay, but they have come.
Yeah.
My grandmother has never come to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And the only time I saw her was after that same nephew my sister was pregnant with had passed away from a fentanyl overdose. And this is 4 years ago. So my question is, why do some decide or choose to come back and say hello while others don't?
Yeah. We're not certain about that. And the communication between this side and the other side is very difficult. And we know that some people can communicate with us from that side more easily than others. Some people choose not to. Some people choose to communicate a lot. Some people choose to communicate periodically, some not at all. We're not sure of the reasons for that. I do know from what I've been told from those on the other side that once you get there, you have things to do. You continue to learn, you continue to grow. You have your own will, memories, volition, everything else. And you decide where you're going to be, where you're going to hang around, what you're going to do. And some people may decide that they don't need to communicate with those on the side, or don't need to come back, or don't want to come back. Or there may just be some particular glitch between us and that person that prevents us from perceiving their attempted communication. And whatever that is, we don't know. Like I say, communication with the other side is pretty dicey. And you look at, for example, electronic voice phenomenon. You may get 1 word or 2 words or 3 words from a spirit voice, and that's all that you get. And all the attempts we have at communication with the other side is very difficult. And one of the things I liken that to is that I remember when I was a kid, I had a friend that was into ham radio, shortwave radio. And on a good night with good reception, he could talk to somebody from West Texas. He could talk to somebody in England or Australia, and clear as a bell and sound like they were in the same room, and talk for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And the next night couldn't reach somebody across town. So atmospheric conditions had a lot to do with the reception. And I think it's the same way in spirit communication, that there are Sometimes that the channels are clear, the channels are more open, sometimes they're not. And I think that, again, going back to someone that tries to communicate, maybe this one person has found a way to communicate with you, and the other person, for some reason or the other, can't use that channel or use that way to communicate with you, and is trying to find a way that they can come through to you. So it's a very complex matter.
Yeah, I could understand that, because my dad's brother, who passed away at the age of 53 due to complications after a heart attack that was caused by alcoholism, years of being a drunk. He was a brilliant man. I was very close with him. One of the smartest men I ever knew, but unfortunately, the alcoholism and the demons that go along with that won over his brilliancy.
Yeah.
And he has never come to any of us.
Yeah.
Never. And so on that side, and he's been gone, I'm going to say 14, 15 years now. Would it be potentially shame because of the way he maybe feels he blew it on this side? Would it be that he has jobs to do on the other side? Is he still dealing with his life trauma over there? I'm trying to figure all of this stuff out.
Yeah, those are possibilities, and it could be that someone that has that shame about their life, even though they're straightened out on the other side, they may have some reticence about communicating with people that are left behind here because of the way they're going to be perceived, or the way that they're thought of, the way that they're remembered, and that could cause some difficulty for them in communication. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm not as intuitive as you, but I am intuitive, and I also look at it too as even when I have had psychic readings, he's not coming around. Like, I have other people coming around, but it's like, man, I just want to talk to him. I want to say, dude, you screwed up. You screwed up, because there's a whole bunch of family reasons I don't need to get into on the air.
Yeah.
But I mean, his brilliancy was leading him to a very good lifestyle.
Yeah.
And my aunt and uncle had no children.
Yeah.
And I was the closest. Right. So it just irks me. And I could see where other people get irked by saying, hey, I miss my sister. I miss my mom. I miss, when my dad passed away, there was still tension there, and I want to clear it up, and we all want that opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think that, people on the other side, they have to figure out how they're going to deal with that and how they're going to respond to those emotions. Our emotions create energy. Our thoughts create energy. We send out energy, and that affects people on the other side. And I tell people, look, you have to understand that somebody that's crossed over, that's been on the other side for quite some time, they're not necessarily the same person that you knew in the flesh. They may have improved, they may have changed, they may have repented, they may express sorrow for their actions, they may be living a different, better life. And we have to acknowledge that, and we have to grant them that. And we may have bitter emotions or things that we haven't forgiven or things that we want to work through, but that's related to them in this life, and that's not the case anymore. And we can't achieve closure for those things most time. And to try and achieve that closure or hold them accountable on the other side is really kind of unfair, because they're not in those circumstances any longer. And we have to acknowledge that. And I think a lot of times when we do, and we express forgiveness and express a willingness to communicate, then that opens up that channel, that ability for them to come through as they are now.
Okay, so we're living in the present. They're living in ethereal land. Unless they've been reincarnated already on a quick turnaround, then we'll never get that communication. John Russell is here. We got him until the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. More stories, more knowledge of the other side. with author, psychic medium John Russell. You can find all of his books on Amazon. I highly suggest you head on over there, add to your library. We'll get to some questions as well. Spaced Out Radio continues as we pass the halfway point right after this. All right, we're clear. Let's zoom in on this.
I love that. That's great. That is absolutely fantastic. I'll be back. Yes. Check out my first edition of the Book of the Dead. Nice. Oh, that is super. I love that. That is absolutely outstanding.
Filth, you outdid yourself tonight, buddy.
I'm telling you, he did.
You outdid yourself tonight.
I get it.
I love the shoes. John, you have to have a pair of shoes like that in your closet, don't you?
You know, it's really funny. I used to have a pair of shoes that looked kind of like that. That's really great.
That is awesome, Filth.
I love it. That's really great.
Once again. Oh. This is why we have him here, John. He is so talented. So talented.
That is absolutely super. I just love it. That's really, really good.
I don't know where he comes up with this stuff, but the Dirty Filth is just brilliant. Brilliant.
I tell you, that does add to the show.
He's not going to say anything to us now because he hates compliments.
I'm chuckling.
I'm chuckling. Oh, that's super. That is really super.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Good job, Filth.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
He nailed the beard. He just nailed the beard.
I've been getting a lot of beard love lately. It feels good.
It should. If anybody hears that crunching, yes, I am eating an Oreo.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oreos are some good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Sovereign, I can do what I want. This is my show. Do not eat and talk at the same time, Dave. Mute that damn mic. Hi, LaDonna. How are you doing? That's good stuff. Good stuff. Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, how you doing? It is so damn muggy in here tonight. I'm just sweating like a pig. And we had a thunderstorm roll through. We don't normally get humidity up here. Hi, Dennis Zuniga. How you doing? And but today we got a thunderstorm that rolled through here a few hours ago. Kelly Schultz, how are you? And I'll tell you, or Kelly Schutz, pardon me, Kelly Schutz, Dr. Kelly Schutz in the house. What was I saying? Yeah, about the weather. And it just made everything muggy. Absolutely muggy. Oh, sorry. I got to apologize to all of you. Last night after the show, I told Tim Senor that I would go live on YouTube today because I got my wood shed today delivered. Except they didn't deliver it with the cement bricks that go underneath. So I had to race like 45 minutes out of town where they built this to grab the bricks to come all the way back. And then I had to start staining things. And before I started staining, that's when the weather started to change. So I couldn't stain it, and I wasn't going to stain it in the storm. So I will be moving my firewood soon, And when I do, I will go live on YouTube because it will be Dave versus the Wasps, and I am going to win. And once again, the bet is with Tim Senor that I will not get stung once, not once. And if I do, I owe him dinner. If he loses, he's got to go to the Spaced Out Radio store, buy a pair of Dave Scott boxers with my face on them, and he's got to wear them on camera. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will get to this hopefully this weekend. I will be able to do this. So thank you tonight to Lala, Michael, and Lynn for the amazing super chats. We very much appreciate it. Hi, Manuel. How you doing? Brown Dwarf. Nice to see you. And here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you, if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirkey Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with John Russell till the top of the hour as we are hanging on out, talking ghost stories, spooky stories, aliens, and absolutely everything in between. Net is his website. John, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's been a really great night. We're having a lot of fun. We're going to have some more fun, and appreciate all the listeners, and we're trucking on.
Oh, my friend, you have been incredible tonight, and I highly suggest it. Incredibly knowledgeable and experienced, and the type of guest I absolutely love. So, John, as we continue on here, you say you don't get scared anymore. Okay. No. And we're going to get into that here momentarily. But first, I want to get to YJ's question. Have you ever had any experience with walk-ins? Are they always a human soul?
I'm familiar with the concept of walk-ins, and I don't really subscribe to that. If you're born, you're in a body, your soul, mind, spirit is in that body. I don't believe that you leave that body and someone else walks in. I don't believe that. I think people that think they experience that phenomenon are undergoing a form of self-induced disassociation. But I don't really believe in the concept of walk-ins. I don't think that's a real phenomenon.
All right. Even when astral traveling?
Well, astral traveling is when we leave our bodies, go into the astral dimension. I don't believe that anyone else comes into our bodies while we're out of our bodies. I don't believe that happens, no.
All right. That's a different feeling from it. A lot of people have said, well, why do you feel that way? What backs your statement?
Well, for one thing, there is a wide range of experiences and emotions that people think that they feel or think that they perceive, things that they think happen to them that really don't. We're incredibly imaginative as people. Our emotions can mislead us. Our thoughts can mislead us. And so we tend to believe a wide variety of things that really aren't true or that really don't happen to us. And that's particularly true in the paranormal realm and the psychic realm. Exorcisms and possessions. I've never seen anything that convinced me that anyone was actually really possessed and that there was really an exorcism at work. any exorcism that I have seen, that I've had any type of experience with, has been the result of some type of over emotional reaction, some type of mental disorder or whatever on the part of the person. And, you know, one of the things that's always touted during an exorcism is like, well, it was a little small woman, 5'6", and she was skinny. And when she was undergoing this possession or manifesting this spirit, it took 6 or 7 or 8 grown men to hold her down. You know, she had this tremendous demonic strength. Well, I had the experience when I was going to college of working with the mentally ill and the mentally retarded at this state school. And in our training, one of the things that we had to do was learn these state-approved restraining holds that didn't injure us and didn't injure the client, so that when one of these mentally ill, mentally retarded clients went off, and they were very dangerous and very violent, some of them, and when they went off, we had to learn how to successfully restrain them without hurting them, without harm to ourselves. And to do that training, every one of us in this class, as we went through this training to get this job, we were told that we had to act out as a client would act out, and to thrash about as wildly and as violently and as strongly as we could, so that the others could come in and learn to practice these restraining holds. And lo and behold, if you were a little small woman, we had a handicapped guy on crutches in there getting the job. When he was down and thrashing about, when little small woman was down thrashing about, guess how many of us it took to hold him down? 5, 6, 7, 8. These were normal people just exercising all the strength that they could, and yet it would take 5, 6, 7, 8 of us to hold them down. So there's no evidence there that any supernatural strength is occurring when this type of thing goes on. If you'll go on YouTube and watch a lot of videos about when some crazy woman comes in a police station and goes nuts and launches off, you'll see 4, 5, 6 officers coming trying to restrain her, and she's fighting off all these officers. So there's no evidence of demonic or paranormal power there. Any type of exorcism, closing of portals, all these types of things, and all the paranormal investigations I've done since the age of 11, I've never seen anything where that was successful or worked. Any so-called exorcism or cleansing of an area usually results in increased activity, not less. And that's been demonstrated time and time and time and time and time again. We don't exercise the power that we think we exercise over these invisible energies, over these intelligences, and over this realm. We just don't. You know, they have a greater power than we do. They exercise their will, sometimes that will. But there's not, you know, I'm tired of the demonologist. I'm tired of the demon behind every bush. I'm tired of the everything's evil or satanic or demonic or malevolent or whatever. That's not been my experience. I've done paranormal investigation since I was 11. I've never been scratched, bitten, hit, kicked, pushed, shoved, hurt, threatened, or anything else. I don't know what these people claim to be experiencing when they go on these paranormal investigations. But one thing I can tell you, if you don't go into a situation with respect for the other side, then you may get something that's unpleasant. But that would be the same as if you went and started pounding on Mike Tyson's door and saying, "Hey, Mike Tyson, you idiot, come out here now. I demand you come out. Face me, you coward." You're going to be picking your teeth up off the sidewalk. So if you go into a situation where there are spirits and entities of an unknown sort, and you're very disrespectful, you may have a negative experience. But that's not the common thing. I've not had a negative experience in all my paranormal investigations. So I think a lot of what occurs is misinterpretation of what's going on, a challenge to some forces where challenges shouldn't be issued, and a lot of cases where I've experienced, been asked to come in and evaluate things where people have said they've been harmed or threatened or scratched or this, that, and the other. I'm not saying every single case, but the majority of cases that I've experienced personally and investigated has come down to misinterpretation of the events, mild mental illness, severe mental illness, drug use, alcohol abuse. So that's entered into most of the things that I've discovered. And I've never had these instances of an entity telling me I hate you, get out, or whatever during any paranormal investigation. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, it is well known now that on a lot of these so-called paranormal investigation shows, that I know people that have been the producers that have been behind the cameras in these shows. I've known people that have been on-air talent in these shows, and a lot of times they are known for faking things and have asked people to say, okay, wait, we're going to reshoot this. Can you scream and run out of the room? Can you work up a cry? Can you yell and act frightened? So a lot of this stuff people are thinking is the real deal with the paranormal is not. It's staged for TV.
Let's get to a question from Kelly here. Have you ever had an experience with a handprint on the body, spiritual or extraterrestrial? John, what's your thoughts?
I've never seen a handprint on myself or on anyone's body. I've had the experience of the hand pushing me back up on the ladder to save me from falling. Didn't leave any kind of print or anything like that. But no, I've never seen any handprint on anybody's body or anything like that.
What about scratches?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anything that I could say was caused right then, firsthand, by any type of spirit or anything like that. I know a lot of people will unconsciously scratch themselves in their sleep or something like that, and then they wake up and they go, "Oh my God, look at these scratches! Where did these scratches come from?" A lot of things that people experience that they think is supernatural or demonic or paranormal or something like that has logical explanations. And as a paranormal investigator, that's the first place that you go. Is there a logical, reasonable, rational explanation for this? And if you can rule that out, then you start looking for the paranormal.
Well, I want to ask you about a situation that I went through then, because I think you might have some answers. I woke up one night, a couple of summers ago, with 2 4-inch scratches on my back. They were about an inch apart, and they were stutter scratches, much like a cat would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My missus pointed it out, as I was brushing my teeth and then I'm like, well, I got to go, to the bathroom. And then from the bathroom, I walked out to the kitchen and I, right before I walked out, I went to the bathroom. I was like, I got to photograph these because I don't know how that caused. Was it one of the cats or was it something else?
Right.
Beats the heck out of me. 4 hours later, John, I remember the scratches.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours later, I go back to the bathroom, take my shirt off. The scratches are gone.
Okay.
Not even any scarring,
Yeah.
Nothing. They have disappeared. I call in my other half and I said, look at my back.
Mm-hmm.
She says, what about it? I said, the scratches, remember this morning? She goes, oh yeah. I said, they're gone. Look.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, oh, that's weird. It was almost like it was trance-like, the way she was talking.
Yeah.
What would cause that?
Well, there are a couple of possible explanations. One is that, sometimes we get these scratches on ourselves, and I've observed that on myself where I would rub up against something or I would accidentally scratch myself or a pet would scratch me, and not deeply, but enough to leave a little, mark there. And then later in the day, it disappears of its own accord. So that's one possible explanation. The other explanation is that maybe you did experience something paranormal and then it disappeared later. So it's one of those two, and then you have to figure out which one it was. And, since you do sleep with the cats, possibility that, they stretched out during the night and gave you a light scratch that subsequently later disappeared on its own, like scratches like that will, or, maybe it was paranormal, but that's something you have to investigate further and figure out at the time.
Just weird.
Yes.
It's just weird. All right. We got time for probably one more story here from you, but we're going to get to a question here from Michael Godbold in our chat room. What are poltergeist?
You know, the typical definition of poltergeist is noisy ghost. You know, that's any ghost that makes a lot of noise, moves things, causes sounds, causes mischief, so on and so forth. So that's the definition of poltergeist.
You ever encountered them?
You know, I encounter ghosts and spirits all the time that move things, that close doors, that make sounds, that steal things, that make things appear, that teleport things from one place to the other. So that's a constant with me.
Wow. All right, let's get to another story from you. We've got about 9 minutes to go here. And let us take a look at, you know, you said that nothing ever really scares you. You get startled, but you've seen too much and it really doesn't scare you anymore. You know, tell us a story where you maybe got a little too startled.
Well, the lady peering down in my face with a little dog, that was one that threw me a little bit. When I was, oh gosh, I don't know how old I was. I was 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around in there. And my mother would go visit our neighbors, the neighbor that I spoke about earlier, when they were both in good health. And I would stay in our house by myself because she was just next door. And she asked me, "Are you okay being alone? Are you safe? Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah." And you know, I knew how to call the police. I knew how to phone her. I could run out and run next door if I needed to. And I kept the house locked up while she was gone, so I felt safe being by myself. So she was over visiting the neighbor, and I had a little spaceman, and I was flying him through the house. So I started in the living room, and I walked back through the dining room, the kitchen, into the bedroom in the back. And as I neared that bedroom, I heard the closet door in that bedroom close and click and latch. And I ran through the house about 500 miles an hour, hit the front door, opened it up. Now, this is in the winter, so we had the heaters on. It's cold outside. I flung the door open, left it open, ran outside, ran next door. I was breathless by the time I got there, and I'm like pounding on the door. And they opened up the door and said, my God, what happened? Are you okay? Is the house on fire? Did somebody break in? Are you sick? What's wrong? And I was trying to catch my breath. And so I told my mother what happened. And my mother said, "Oh, well, it's probably a ghost, but we'll go check it out." And so she told my neighbors, she said, "We're going to go check this out. If we're not back in, 5 minutes, if you don't hear from us, call the police." And so we went back, and the house is wide open. The front door is wide open, and the heat's escaping. And so we go in and close the door. We go through the house. We go into that bedroom and open the closet door. Nobody's in there. Nobody's in the house. So she said, it was just a ghost. It's just a spirit letting you know that they're here. And I was like, "Oh, okay. All right." So she said, "Are you okay for me to go back to our neighbors?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead. I'm fine." So she did. And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to steel myself. I'm going to face this. It's not going to bother me." And I get my spaceman. I go back through the house again, retrace the same route. And as I get near that bedroom, I hear that closet door open and close again by itself and latch. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going in there and I'm going to face this." And I went in and I reached for the knob and I opened it up and I jerked the door open. Of course, nobody's in there in the flesh. And there was this tremendous icy cold in that closet that was nowhere else in that room. And I was like, "Okay." And I closed the closet door and I pushed on it hard to make sure it was latched and closed, and it was. And as I turned to exit the door, I heard the door open and close and latch again. And I just left and went back up to the front of the house and said, "Okay." So that was a little startling to me as a child. That was a little unnerving at the time.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I would be very startled as well, my friend. I totally would. I mean, that is just incredible. We got 5 minutes to go. I'm sure you got another story you could share with us on the ghost side of things that would be just incredible.
Oh, let's see what I can fit in 5 minutes. Well, I tell you let's say I'll tell you about a haunted rock that I just found in the yard here. I bought this rock inside. It was an unusual rock, and I was attracted to it and brought it in. And over the space of time that I've had this rock inside, it has changed appearance about 5 or 6 times. And when I first had it, it was like mostly dark on the top, almost black on the top, and then kind of whitish underneath. And the next time I picked it up and looked at it, it had gone from that appearance to kind of a caramel color, and these lines, this pattern had appeared in it that wasn't there before. And then the next time I picked it up and looked at it, it had kind of frosted over, almost white all over, and it wasn't any kind of bloom or algae or anything like that. You couldn't rub it off, couldn't scrub it off. And then from within the rock coming up to the surface, there were, it looked like faces or ghosts or these figures appearing. And then all that vanished and it went back to its original appearance. And then it changed again and began to show various other signs and things. And there's a particular sigil that I've developed that I use over the years. And that actually appeared in this rock. So all kinds of neat ghostly things happen all the time. And it's just part and parcel of the way I live.
Wow. What advice would you give people who have these type of paranormal or supernatural experiences, just so they know for themselves the phenomena is real?
Yeah. Well, for one thing, there's a lot of misinterpretation when these experiences happen. People have the knee-jerk reaction that it's dangerous or demonic or malevolent, and it's not. We have to understand that we live in this realm, that this is around us all the time. And when we get these communications, don't write them off to coincidence or imagination or anything else. Be thankful that you get communication from the other side or that you have these experiences. Ask them who's communicating, what they're trying to communicate to you, what they're trying to get through to you, how they're trying to instruct you or protect you or help you. In the case of our guardian angels, listen, pay attention. And when you get the intuition to do this or don't do that, don't go here, whatever, pay attention to that and listen to that. And it can be life-saving. And I write about that in my books that, many times listening to the voices of my guardian angels has literally saved my life.
Meditation or just natural communication? What should we try for to communicate with our guides?
Well, meditation is very helpful. It's very good because it stills our mind. It gets us quiet and it gets us into a receptive mode. And we have to be receptive and we have to listen. We have to pay attention. And, we ask, and then we don't get quiet and we don't get still and we don't listen for the answer. And that's what we have to do is we have to pay attention. We have to get quiet, be receptive, and listen for that answer to come. And then when it does come, we have to act on the information that we're given.
With 90 seconds to go, I want to say, John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Spaced Out Radio, man. I mean, your knowledge, the way you speak, it's very confident, it's very educational, and there's not a lot of that in the paranormal these days. This is a real bright spot. I think you do a lot of good for the paranormal, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll just mention if anybody wants to learn more about me or to get a reading with me, I do take new clients all the time. You can go to johnrussell.net. When my picture loads on the page, you'll see my book covers on either side of that. You can click on those. It'll take you to Amazon where you can buy those. They're available at Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. And I can almost guarantee you that no matter how many books you've read about psychics or the paranormal or the supernatural, that you've never read anything like these books. They're going to entertain you. They're going to give you information that you've never had before. I go into depth on some of the experiences that we've talked about here tonight and a whole lot more that are really fascinating, really amazing. You'll enjoy reading them. And it's been my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're definitely going to have to do it again, my friend.
Absolutely.
Because this was a lot of fun.
Thank
This
you.
was a lot of fun tonight. And looking at the comments in our chat rooms on the way the people were talking about you and are bragging about you tonight, I think that's a good sign that we definitely need to bring you back. We definitely do.
Great. I would love to do that. We'll definitely do it again. I appreciate you having me here, and I've had a great time and appreciate all the listeners.
All right, my friend, John Russell. Go to johnrussell.net. You can find all of his book on Amazon. Is a huge hour number 3 coming up next. First, the Swamp Dweller, then Robin McRae with the Cryptid Report, Dave 101, and Shirkey Poo with the news. A jam-packed hour 3 waiting for you right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Great show, John.
Hey,
Great
thank
show.
you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed being here very, very much. And holler at me again. We'll definitely do it again.
I love your voice. You got a beautiful voice, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right, I will let you go, and we'll stay in touch and try and get you on around Halloween time. How about that?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Do some spooky haunting stories.
There you go. I've got plenty of them.
Perfect. Love it, man. All right, you take care, okay?
Thank you, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. What a great guy. Seriously, what a great guy. That was my first time talking to him today, and just a humble man who has seen a lot, done a lot, and man, I just think he was great. Just great. I'll be right back, guys. I don't know where Filth went. All right. Would you look at that? Thomas Fessler, thank you for that amazing super chat. From all of you guys at Disclosure tonight, great friends of Spaced Out Radio. Really do appreciate the love and support, my man. And for all our listeners, if you haven't checked out Thomas Fessler before Spaced Out Radio, he's there 7 nights a week. And make sure you check him on out. Great news on the UFO front on a nightly basis. Highly recommend it. Hi, Kawhi. How you doing, man? Balut John, how are you? From Bakersfield, California, home of the Condors. Let's see. Who else is here? We want to give a shout out to Mark McClinchy from England for his first time being in our chat room. So how you doing, Mark? Thanks for coming on in and getting up early with us. Tom King, how you doing, buddy? Hope your hair is looking absolutely fantastic. Was on the show, probably is now. Jerry O'Brien, Peppa H, nice to see you guys. And I think we are fully caught up here. Big thank you to Lala, Michael, Lynn, Judy, YJ, and Thomas for the super chats. Hi, Rin. How you doing? Long time, no time. Here we go, hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very glad to see you all here tonight, listening in, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Latents. Latents is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirkey Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller is back with another weird story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I will give you a million times as a kid and young adult I felt scared or paranoid playing in the woods. It's a beautiful place, and I spent my entire childhood getting lost, not literally out there, by myself or with my friends. As kids, we never got too far out there, but you could see the progression of us venturing further and further out as we got older and forts and such being made. This one time, like 1,000 times before, my friend and I had just graduated high school. It was our last summer of freedom, and we went to spend the entire summer camping and hiking out there. We decided to try and find a new place to set up camp and walked for what felt like a few miles before we came to a nice clearing. The area was relatively new to both of us. We both got the camp set up and the fire going, and the plan was to wait until nightfall, smoke some weed, and play Monopoly. For the sake of backstory on my friend and me, my buddy is smaller, a real goofy guy, but comes from a family of foresters and always had a deep understanding of all the trees and different plants you come across. He had no fear of going and camping out by himself. If I spent 10,000 hours in the woods, he probably spent 50,000. As for me, I'm a taller, sturdier guy, and as we got older, I spent more time worrying about women and sports than the woods. Also, I never had the balls to camp out alone. In fact, older me wouldn't go far out at all when I was alone, because I could never shake the feeling of being watched. Which was probably just paranoia, but still an uneasy feeling. Anyways, camp is set, fire is going, and it's getting lower and needs wood. Sun is down and we're both cutting up and having a good time. My friend is sitting on his little chair he always brought and loading up his makeshift bong. I was crouched breaking some excess limbs off of one of the logs that we had gathered for the fire. Suddenly, this strong breeze cuts through the clearing. I couldn't tell you if it was the suddenness of it or what, but my friend and I both stopped immediately and looked at each other. The breeze went just long enough to flicker our fire down to a small flame. We both sat there completely still in almost total darkness, and neither of us said a word. Across from us, on the other side of the fire, we could hear footsteps. They sounded like somebody was running, and would slow to a walk and then run again, on two legs. By the sound of it, they were pacing back and forth over the same spot. Then it just stopped with a softer crunch on the underbrush. I knew by the sound of it that it had taken a crouch. I was crouched still and knew I was staring right back at it in the dark. My friend grabbed my shoulder and said, "Buddy," and when he did, I felt this surge of fear come over me. I could feel it and hear it in him. I had been so fixed on the footsteps and rationalizing what it was that I hadn't even considered being afraid. But this was true fear. It was raw, and it made me feel helpless. I could hear my friend after a while grab some leaves, and he dropped them into the fire, and it sprang to life. We both quickly grabbed more leaves and brush and threw it on the fire. It got some of the sticks and logs going, and neither of us took our eyes off the spot. We didn't move for about an hour. Finally, the leaves crunched, and it slowly walked off in the opposite direction. Whatever it was had sat and crouched and watched us without moving for longer than any animal would. It wasn't until after the footsteps disappeared that I realized the smell had disappeared as well. It smelled like a paper mill, spoiled eggs almost. The rest of the night, besides whispered remarks, neither of us really moved or stopped looking at that spot. Nobody went into the tent, and I had a very short light sleep, sleeping on the ground with my head rested on my hands. My friend never went to sleep. In the morning, we packed up and silently walked back home. To this day, we talk about it sometimes. In the 7 and 8 years since it happened, my forester friend has not camped by himself out there ever since, though.
Never go camping by yourself. This is where bad stuff happens. Never go camping. That's where you get the Wendigos, the skinwalkers, and, the not deer, the Sasquatch, the dogman, the little people, all out to get you. It's just safer. Don't go camping alone. It's like, don't go in the ocean. Too many stuff there wants to kill you. Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another wonderful spooky story, as Swamp Dweller joins us every Monday through Friday night here on Spaced Out Radio. I highly suggest you head on over to his channel, Swamp Dweller Reads, on YouTube. So youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. He's got thousands of stories there for you to listen to on a daily or nightly basis. So get on over there, hit subscribe on his channel. All right, filling in for Super Duke on World Bigfoot Radio's Cryptid Report. Here's Robin McCrae on Spaced Out Radio. Robin's always laughing. Robin, every time we bring you on the show, you're laughing and smiling. Do you ever have a bad day? Because you're always happy when you're here.
Yeah, but you know what?
I don't believe you.
I allow myself a 24-hour pity party, and then I tell myself to get over it.
Perfect. We love it when you are here, Robin, and thank you so much for filling in for Super Duke on World Bigfoot Radio and the Cryptid Report that we do here on a nightly basis. It's always fun to have you here, my friend. And, you are someone, it's a little bit different when you're here because for people who don't know Robin, she is a Sasquatch investigator and a cryptid investigator, as well as a psychic communicator with Sasquatch. And out of all the people I've had on this show for the last 7.5+ years, there are very few who intrigue me the way you do. And I love you for it. You challenge me.
I just think you are the best. And I love coming on the show, even if it's just for the Cryptid Report, because I enjoy not only, you get some great people in your chat room, but I enjoy you. Like, I enjoy the conversations that you and I have. So it's just as much a pleasure for me. I
Well,
just absolutely love it.
thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it. I did take your advice.
Okay.
Last weekend, I went out to the gifting site that I have, where we found a 13-inch print and a bunch of other prints earlier this spring, and I took away probably 2/3 of the items that I
Good.
had. I left the brush, I left the mirror, I left a couple of toys, including a foam basketball that some little critter had been nibbling on. I left some dice, I left some rocks, and that's about it. I cut it right down by about 2/3. How long should I give it before going back out there to see if this has changed the way that they are potentially looking at this?
I would say at least give it a week. If nothing's changed, don't mess with it. Don't touch it. Just give it time. I've gone to certain sites where it's literally taken a month or two before they did anything. Other sites, they were like right Johnny on the spot and they took it within an hour. It just depends on that group. I will tell you this. There is a female that's looked at it because her name is Bombella. And I'm supposed to let you know that she likes it. I don't know which part she is. Is there anything blue on there?
Now you're going to make me check my photos. I may have
I
got
don't know
rid
if
of.
there is or not, but she's showing me this blue thing, and I don't know if she got it from you or not, but she does know where your things are.
Well, I have a blue car out there.
That's what she's talking about. She likes it. She very much likes it, and she said that I'm supposed to tell you her name and know that you are friend.
And I have a blue plastic dinosaur.
No, I think it's the car because that's the shape of what she showed me.
Okay, what else do I have out there? Well, let's take a quick look here. Now you're getting me all confused here.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's the car, and she said her name is Bombella. So, and it's definitely a female. So she wanted to make sure that you knew that you are friend.
Okay. That is perfect because I do have some blue rocks out there, and I have green, white, and red dice, and I've got the purple mirror, the black hairbrush, a couple of necklaces like those plastic beaded necklaces.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those out there.
You can even take more stuff away. You want to make it as simple as possible because they get overstimulated really easy because they look at and view everything as a trap. So the more you have out there, the more they're concerned they're going to get hurt. You want to really simplify it. But yeah, she wanted me to tell you her name, and she keeps showing me a picture of a blue object.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Which direction is she coming from? Is she coming because this is a very unique area. So when you're driving on in, the main forest is on your right. On the left, you have a giant marsh. Just be it maybe from the road to the marsh is maybe 300 feet, not very far, 250 feet. Then the road continues up into more forest. But if you go straight, there's another marsh in there as well, and that's where the moose seem to hang out.
That's where she's coming from because, like, if you're facing where you're gifting her, if you go past that, she's coming from down that way. She's not coming in from the side. She's coming down the other way.
Okay. Yeah, there's a big log pile in there from where they cleared a bunch of logs last year to make fire breaks. See, that area last year was it was tormented by a giant super fire. And so the readiness crews went in there and plowed a bunch of trees down and in order to make fire breaks and different roads for those fire breaks. So, that area used to be very lush. It's not now. Every road has, you have your road, but the trees have been pushed back at least 100 feet on each side. It's torn up.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I feel like she's coming from the other side of that, like she's walking a distance to come in. But she's doing it to find out what you guys are doing over there. Like that's an area that they come and walk through, but she comes from the other side of that.
All right. I want to ask you one more question because I know what you're talking about with this, and I will investigate that area. And
okay.
I'll kick it this week. The following week I can't go. I'm at a wedding, so it'll have to be the week after that. And yeah, I haven't been to a wedding in 15 years, and my nephew decides to get married to his high school sweetheart, and now I got to go to a wedding. Piss me off, but that's neither here nor there. I heard a great Sasquatch story today, Robin.
Okay.
So about 50 minute drive from where SOR headquarters is, there is a beautiful lake called Decca Lake. And there's a bunch of housing around there. A lot of people use it for cabins. And it put it this way, the lake is so beautiful and serene. It's nothing to be on your boat and all of a sudden see a moose swimming in the water or a bear.
Wow.
Lake. It's one of those, right? And this gentleman was talking to a good friend of mine, one of my fellow Sasquatch investigators up here named Mike. And he was talking to him today. And this gentleman who's lived in the area a long time, is kind of a little bit of a hermit, was telling Mike a story how within the last week or two, he was barbecuing. He was barbecuing on his patio. His patio is about 14 feet high. And he had a nice ribeye steak on the barbecue, wow. Goes inside his house to grab, maybe cut up some vegetables or potatoes or something on the stove, comes back, he hears some thumping, loud thumping, comes back out, his steak is gone. Absolutely gone.
Oh my God.
Right?
That would be hysterical.
Oh, he's laughing about it. He's perplexed. He has a big Rottweiler. And this gentleman, stated that his dog isn't scared of anything, but there's something out there that's freaking his big Roddy out. A few weeks before that, he has this big metal gate on his driveway. One of the gate, because it's a 2-gate system. Yeah. One of the gates was ripped right off its hinges. No dents, no tire tracks, nothing. Just ripped off its hinges. And there are certain areas there where he refuses to go in. Just refuses.
Yeah, they'll give him, like, if he tried to go in, even if they didn't do anything to them, they'll get in his head and they'll project emotion on him so he'll not want to go in there.
Well, he has been hit with the sickness.
Yeah. And all they're doing with that is they take the energy from their body and they throw it at you, and that's why they call it zapping.
Okay, so are they doing that to be territorial, or are they doing that to be smart alecky? What do you think?
They normally, when they're doing that, it's because of either you're in an area they don't want you in, you're by the kids, they're hunting. I mean, they can have an assortment of reasons why they don't want you there. And generally, when they get to that point, they may have given you subtle hints that you're not wanted, and either you didn't pick up on it or you ignored it or whatever. And that is the result that they'll do. Now, depending on the individual will depend on how bad you get it. They determine who gets it and how hard they get it. I've literally had people standing next to me get dropped on the ground, and I'm standing there because they didn't zap me. I mean, I'm sure my day's coming, but I haven't gotten zapped yet. But I have literally had people stand next to me, and the next thing I know, they're on the ground. Whether they're throwing up or they're grabbing their head because of the pain in their head, they can pinpoint it exactly where they want it to go and how hard. It can be something as mild as just a headache. It can be something as severe as it can stop your heart. But they determine all of it, and it depends on what they don't want you to see or be around. I mean, if they have their children there, you're going to get it a lot worse. They're highly, highly protective of the kids, even more so than we are.
All right, let's get to a question that is coming in for you.
Okay.
And
then I have news
of course,
for you.
All right. Well, we got to speed it up. We got like 4 minutes left. I got to have you on again ASAP. But River Dogma is acting. Are there Bigfoots in northwest Arizona along the Colorado River?
Yes. They will follow the riverways. Yes.
Yeah. And now that, the river, for a lot of rivers out there where the fish are coming in from the ocean to spawn, now's the time for that they're getting ready to make the run for the river. Well.
Oh, yeah, they will.
All right. Do you want to get to a story, or do you just want to keep chatting? We got 3.5 minutes.
There's something going on with the Foots, but we can do that at a later date so we can give a little more detail to it. It's good. It's something people need to be aware of because I'm sure other people are experiencing it. They're bringing people together.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So we can do that at a later date, and we can chat. We can answer questions, whatever you want to do.
Well, you know what? We are going to I don't know what to do. I'm trying to figure out it. Brian Cheshire, yes, there are lots of or are there any Bigfoot in Orlando? I read that as Ontario.
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida. What do you think?
Yeah, they will, because they don't have a problem going into the city. When I lived in Michigan, we had them in downtown Detroit. Okay, they don't need to have woods. They prefer it. They like it, but they will cloak and they will walk right downtown in a city. Orlando is no different. I mean, they will literally go in there. They won't be living in that city, but they will go in there. Detroit, they would go into the abandoned houses and they would live in the abandoned houses. And there was a woman that came home with her husband and her children. She was looking for a house, and she came home. They were living in this subdivision where most of the houses were destroyed and not livable. And they stopped at a street corner to turn, and a Bigfoot stepped out from the house, out of the shadows, saw their car, turned around and ran back to the house and climbed in a broken out bay window. And so the next day, the authorities went in there to see what was going on, thinking, maybe this woman was wrong. It was a homeless person, and it wasn't. They had brought branches in there and made a nest, and there was footprints. It was quite a big deal. So yeah, they'll absolutely go in a city. Doesn't slow them down at all.
Wow. That is incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. All right. Let's see if we can sneak one more question here. We got about a minute. Tony in the United Kingdom. Do Sasquatch want to become known by all humanity?
They do, and that's what we're going to talk about when I come back, because it is quite the big deal, and it may not be a big deal to everybody, but I think it's information that people need to know to be aware of, and they're bringing people together for it. So absolutely. Doesn't mean they're going to walk out on every street corner, but there is a reason for it.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if I want them to come out. I really don't.
Well, when I say come out, there's a difference between coming out and running up and down the block and everybody's going to see them all over the place. That's not what they're going to do. They want to bring people together. And by that means they can live their lives in peace and we can live our lives in peace. And basically, and we'll get into it in more detail, but the nutshell part of it is they are now contacting more and more people on a daily basis. My phone, my emails are being flooded, and I love it. No complaints there, with people saying to me, I know I'm supposed to be part of something, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. They're building a bridge. They're building a bridge between the people, their people and our people. And all they want to do is connect the peoples. They don't want to be integrated into our lives. They don't want us integrated in theirs. They want to live peacefully. They don't want to be monsters. They don't want to be hunted. They want to be able to live their life.
Beautiful. Robin McRae, we'll get her on soon. Coming up next,
Thank you.
We have the Dave 101. Start paying attention to UFOs, people. We'll tell you why next. I am so sorry we ran out of time.
No, that's fine. And you know what? The UFO thing, they got to be careful because I got abducted 2 months ago. And I tell you what, it was not a pleasant norm. I mean, I've been abducted multiple times, but this was like the worst.
You had a
So
bad one.
the UFOs are everywhere right now,
Mhm.
getting worse all the time.
Yeah, last time I was abducted was a couple of weeks, longer than that. 4 or 5 weeks ago now, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And my alien gray, it was an alien gray, except with bright green eyes. Like
Oh,
the
wow.
green on the screen instead of black.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty cool.
and it showed me, before it took me, it showed me 3 pictures of black triangles.
Oh my God, Dave. When they took me, they showed me pictures of black circles.
Well, that's weird.
That is really, really creepy weird.
The one triangle was lit up. It was like a nighttime photo, lit up with its 3 corner lights. And I've got a daddy long legs sitting on my desk right now. What are you doing, buddy? Seriously, what are you doing? All right. The second one, the second photo was kind of like in the evening with the sun going down, but it's still that dark grayish blue outside.
Yeah.
And the lights were on. And the third one was daytime, except the lights were off and the craft wasn't black. It was like metallic, like silver metallic.
Yeah. That's
Hold on.
crazy.
I got to rescue this guy. Hold on. I don't kill spiders. Let's see. Oh, there he is.
We will name him Bob.
Side. Oh, come here. Now he jumped to the ground. Seriously, Bob. There he goes.
No, when they did mine, it was weird because the first night I was gone for like 6-7 hours and I was awake when they took me. I never even made it to sleep. And then when I started getting flashbacks, one came out of the other room and it waved its arm in front of it. And when it did, it started showing me this picture on the floor. And it was there were 7 black circles. And I have no idea what it was supposed to mean. Not a clue. I know they really messed with my head that time. That I wasn't afraid, but I had panic attacks and everything.
Brian says, praying mantids. Is people scouting you out, Dave? How do you know this, Brian? Now you got me curious. Oh, I love it. I don't.
Well, I knew they were coming. I knew they were coming. They had flashed a light into my window first. And so I had been agitated because I could feel them. And so I was kind of waiting because I thought they come in and they're toast. Like I will zap their little butts. I will toast their little things and be done with it. And I never even got a chance to. It was that fast. But I was gone 6 or 7 hours. And then when I woke up, not only were my clothes on inside out, my cell phones were damaged. It was a mess. Really a mess.
Well, Robin, if you want to stick around, I can. I don't know what you're after us. I know it's late where you are, but if you want to stick around for the after show and kind of hang out and chat about it with the audience, we could do that. It'll be about 30 minutes, 26 minutes. But if you don't mind, because I'd like to hear.
Yeah.
Perfect. We will do that. So while I'm editing the show and everything like that, we will do that. We got about a minute here before we have to go. Thank you to Thomas, YJ, Judy, Lynn, Michael, and Lala for the super chats tonight. It's a very, very cool way to support what we do on this show, as well as shopping at our website, spacedoutradio.com. So head on over there and find some really cool, fun swag that we have. And
let's continue it on. We got about, what do we got here? 27 seconds. So, Robin, what I'm going to do here is, or if you want to call on back, or do you want to stay on the line? Because I'll put you back in the green room.
Doesn't matter. I
Okay.
can go in the main room and then I can chat with everybody.
Okay, I'm just going to put you back there, okay?
Okay.
All right. Robin will be right back here at the top of the hour, and we're going to get the Dave 101 going here momentarily. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirkey Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Well, it's that time of the month, or that time of the week, I should say, where I decide to flash my own opinion on the Dave 101. Here we go.
It's time for Dave 101.
I am here to give you a fair warning to our beautiful listeners of Spaced Out Radio. And it's about UFOs. Now, a long time ago, let's go back in time 5 years, shall we? All right, there's our time travel music. And when the To the Stars Academy came out, there was a bunch of hype that went around creating UFO Twitter and the popularity of that. Tom DeLonge and his mega team coming on out as the men who were going to be the faces of disclosure. Now, at that time, I said to all our listeners, let's just sit back, relax, and let's watch to see what happens. Well, fast forward, TTSA, To the Stars Academy, didn't really last 4 years, even though it's still a company today under Tom DeLonge, the former Blink-182 star. But it's more into media now. It's To the Stars Media, not the Academy. They're not doing arts and science anymore. They're trying to write books. They're trying to make movies. And realistically, the days of looking for the woo are gone. So how does it tie into what is happening today? That's easy. I could tell you. And this is where my forewarning to each and every one of you listening who has an interest in the UFO topic, to beware. I've talked to a lot of people this week, and I'm telling you, out of all the reading I've seen online, from Mick West to Lou Elizondo to Chris Mellon to Gary Nolan to Tucker Carlson, and the phone calls in between, I don't like what I'm seeing, people. And as your voice to this subject, to open up these topics and interview the people that matter regarding these subjects that we love, I owe it to all of you to sit here and say, let's be careful. Let's take a step back and let us look at what is going on. And what's it all over? There are way too many agendas going on right now. And I believe those agendas are there to confuse you and I, John and Jill Q. Public. Look, disclosure is never going to happen. Let's get that off our shoulders right off the bat. Disclosure is never going to happen. Why isn't it going to happen? Because disclosure means truth. Disclosure means everything is on the table. Just the way Representative Tim Burchett, a congressman out of the USA, wants to have it happen. But we know that's not going to happen. Why? There's too many technological secrets that need to be covered up, from present right through the past to Roswell and maybe even further beyond that. So those who are pushing disclosure, like Lou Elizondo, who I am a fan of, recently stated on a podcast that we were halfway there. Don't buy it. They haven't given us any answers yet, outside of some blurry videos, some controversial videos, some absolutely fantastic anecdotal evidence from pilots and eyewitnesses. There is data. We have seen and received some data. Remember the 21-minute film that was supposed to be released of a UFO that everybody was talking about, and this was going to change the world? What happened to it? Why don't we hear about it anymore? Where'd it go? What about the public hearings where people like Marco Rubio and Senator Gillibrand literally going in front of the media, grandstanding, we're going to bring the information to the public as long as it does not harm national security? Where's the information? Because we sure as hell know the public hearings said nothing. Look, there are a lot of different agendas going on right now. And those who are very passionate about this subject are eating it up like breakfast for breakfast, not dinner. The agendas. NASA has an agenda, and nobody has questioned them, the premier space agency of this planet, about what they have seen. They're getting away scot-free. Lou Elizondo's group out there trying to press governments around the world to bring in information. Where's he gone? Okay, we're going to try and get Lou back on this show here soon. I want to believe Lou. I like to believe Lou. I like Lou. We need some information. What is happening? What are you working on? Where's the transparency? We have Stephen Greer, who believes that his government sources state that there's a false flag coming when it comes to aliens and the agenda to scare people and to shut people down. We have the Pentagon not wanting to tell the story. We never know what we're getting out of the Pentagon. The only way we're getting information is through the hard work of people from the Black Vault. They don't tell anything. The United States Air Force isn't saying anything. They've been mum since the beginning of this. We have people out there who are experiencers saying the aliens are coming, and it doesn't look good. Tom DeLonge is still pushing the evil alien threat that we need to put nuclear weapons in space to guard this planet because, yes, Tom, nuclear weapons are going to be able to harm somebody or something that has just traveled across this universe with the best technology that this planet has ever seen, and our little primitive nukes are going to harm it. The religious type saying, we got to stop this alien crap. We got to stop it because it's evil, it's dark, it's demonic. The Bible tells us so. We have Gary Nolan coming out from Stanford University talking about the effects that people who have encountered UFOs and aliens have on their body, including radiation that has killed parts of the brain. We have a lot going on. It is sensory overload right now when it comes
to UFOs, not UAP, UFOs. How did we get here? Where did we get so many different sides of this story? Well, like anything, we break it on down to the most finite amount, and we side with what we feel comfortable with. That's why there are people out there actually supporting NASA's cause right now, instead of harping on NASA, which they deserve, and saying, open up your closets, open up your files, show us what you got. You've embarrassed your own astronauts who had experiences for 60 years. This is a very uncomfortable position that we are going to be in, and I hesitate to say that I believe it's going to get a lot more uncomfortable. I believe we're going to start hearing more about reptilian agendas. I think we're going to start hearing more about bad aliens, that we could be under attack within the next 5 to 10 years. And we could be in trouble. Even though the statistics state otherwise from those who've had encounters. Look, there is a reason why we have this going on. They won't tell us why now. Nobody can answer that simple question. People like you and others, when we've asked that question here, have given very plausible thoughts to that. What does why now mean? But ladies and gentlemen, the one thing it all comes down to is this. We still live in a military-industrial complex. We still are all about winning. We being North America, we being the United States, even though I'm in Canada. Most of our listeners are in the United States, and I feel like one of you. The military-industrial complex still runs the world. If we can buy anything that we have learned out of people who've come out of Area 51 and talked publicly, is that we know from Ben Rich on up, the former head of Lockheed Skunk Works, they are 50 plus years ahead in technology at Area 51 than what we see today. Remember, every airliner you see in the sky today is obsolete, except the ones you don't see, if you catch my drift. Everything we do today is obsolete. Everything we know today is obsolete. They don't want us to know, because in the end, I fear the UFO game is going to come down to money. Who can make money off of this? And I'm not talking television shows, people. I'm not talking getting a $100,000 contract to do a television show for 1 or 2 seasons. No, I'm talking billions, millions, maybe even trillions, if the juice in that technology is that good. So good that we will never see it until the world shifts. We are getting screwed here. The military-industrial complex is very much alive and well, and very into UFOs, not UAP, UFOs. They want that technology. And if contact is made, which I already believe it's been made, we won't see it. We won't hear about it, because that's what they do. That's what they hold from us. This is why I believe any true disclosure will come from the experiencers, because the government so far does not want anything to do with experiencers. They want the nuts and bolts. They don't care about what's happening to people who've been taken. And yet in the meantime, it's some of those people who've been taken, who've had the downloads, who've flown the ships, who have been given understanding to what this is all about. This subject is going to get uglier before it gets any cleaner. You must be prepared for that. I must be prepared for that. And we all need to hold our hands together and be prepared together for whatever they throw at us. Because whatever they throw at us, most likely is not the truth. It is our job individually to read between the lines to figure out what the truth actually is. Like when you hold a press conference without having any press available. The Stars Academy taught us early about what reading between the lines is all about. So together, we, as enthusiasts and experiencers of this phenomena, need to do is we all need to take a step back. We all need to take a breath. We need to take what we know and read between the lines for the tidbits of information that they are giving us, to translate it into what really makes sense, translate it into what the true story really is. Because I'll tell you right now, as long as these agendas continue, and there are multiple agendas on this topic, we as humanity will never get the truth. And remember, this isn't a United States problem. It isn't an England problem, a Canada problem, a Russia problem, a China problem, an India problem. No, this is an issue that will affect 7.75 billion people on this world. And it's going to affect each and every one of us. So we can either stay stagnant or we can do our research and realize we, as humanity, are getting played in the UFO world. That is your Dave 101. Do me a favor when you play the replay on this on our YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And let's move on for the night. It's Shirkey Poo's News.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirkey Poo's News!
Hey, Shirkey Poo is back with the news tonight. We're going to start off with a lady named Ann Galentine who claims her home is haunted by a spirit, but her freaky belongings have put off people from visiting. The American is a full-time paranormal investigator and licensed embalmer. We're going to have to get her on the show. And keeps Ouija boards, used coffins, and photographs of dead people in her home. Yeah, Becky Ann's love of all things occult and eerie began at a young age. She used to play in her parents' antique store, and she would often spend time going through items belonging to recently deceased. Whilst she believes she is experienced psychic dreams and doors violently slamming around her initially, her first true paranormal experience came in 2009 when she saw a light entity in a local cemetery near to where a familiar tragedy had occurred. Now, Becky Ann, who lives in Connecticut, believes the supernatural is in her home after her guests have reported seeing figures and experiencing sleep paralysis and lights turning on and off. However, Becky Ann isn't fazed. She says, I can't think of any closer to the being of someone than holding some of their most sentimental and close belongings. I have everything from mourning cards and post-mortem photographs to early books of the occult. She loves it. She ain't changing. And if you're not into it, basically, you're not going to get a date with her. Let's move on. Here's a classy one out of China. A groom exposed his bride and her affair with her brother-in-law by playing a raunchy video of them during the wedding reception. Footage from a bedroom shows the woman and her new husband's brother-in-law is shown on a screen behind the newlyweds as guests looked in shock. Yeah, this appeared on TikTok recently. The wedding happened in 2019, and the caption is cheating bride if you want to see it. The groom played the video of his wife cheating on him with her pregnant sister-in-law's husband in front of everybody. The man shouts, "Did you think I didn't know about this?" as his betrayed bride threw her bouquet at him. Many thought the woman got what she deserved, calling it the best revenge in front of all their family and friends. Got her parents to waste all that money on a wedding, another added, though many tried to figure out why he married her in the first place. He probably found out after everything was paid, one person commented. It's not about the money, it's about sending a message. Yeah. By the way, the bride suffered domestic advice at the hands of the groom. One person said she sought comfort in her sister's husband, which evolved into an illicit relationship. It is unknown if they are still married, but if they are, family get-togethers must be really awkward. To call a brawl that broke out at a California funeral family drama is a little bit of an understatement. Family members mourning the death of an elderly woman last Saturday afternoon at a cemetery in Richmond, California, got into a chaotic altercation that ended up with the police being called after the casket was knocked over. The fight involved between 8 and 20 family members who were reportedly armed as well. Police took the publication told the media that the incident was a case of family drama that started between a brother and a sister who were attending their mother's funeral and really didn't get along. An argument between the siblings sparked a brawl between brother and sister's boyfriend. The brother then got into a car and attempted to run down his sister, but he ended up hitting another relative and knocked over the dead woman's casket. In the process, he also ran over several tombstones and hit a water main which flooded the area, including an empty grave. When the brother got out of the vehicle, a family member struck him with a cane several times. We sometimes get family disputes at a cemetery or at the church, a police spokesperson said. This one went above and beyond, obviously. And finally, a machete-wielding, berry-picking naked man in Florida was arrested after attempting to rob another man of his clothes, wallet, and phone. Deputies were called by the victim after he was approached by the nude man who was carrying a large machete. The man told cops the suspect was picking berries in the woods, then rushed out of the bush with the machete and demanded he hand over his belongings, including the clothes he was wearing. The victim began to comply when the suspect hurled the machete at him, along with a handful of palmetto berries. Either the blade was sharp enough or the victim had a chest of steel because he was uninjured. He bounced off his chest. The suspect, still naked, fled the scene, took off into the woods, hopped into a car, but a police helicopter tracked him to a nearby gas station where he was doing push-ups at the entrance to a food store. That is Florida man at his best. Oh, what a great show tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Spreaker, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Who does push-ups running away from the cops, by the way? Sure as hell not me.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yeah, we've got room for them too. Good night. Bring Robin McCrae back in. That was
Hey,
a fun.
you.
Hey, you.
I was so impressed with you. If I had pom-poms, I would be over here jumping up and down and screaming right now.
Oh, because of the 101.
Yes, it was phenomenal. The best I've ever heard. Like, literally, if I had pom-poms, I would have been over here screaming at the top of my lungs and jumping up and down.
Oh, you're way too sweet. Way too sweet.
All of it needed to be said. You were so spot on. It was amazing.
We just need to all hold hands together, take a breath, and take that step back.
Yeah,
that's what we all need to do.
Well, and the thing of it is we've got to get to the point where we rely on each other and not what the government keeps telling us, because it's not accurate. You know, I mean, they tell us what they want us to believe, and there's a big difference in that and the truth.
Well, you know what? I think there's a lot of truth coming out, but there's a lot of covering up coming out right now as well. And we all have to be guarded on our senses. You know, it's the same thing, Robin, when you walk into a grocery store or a gas station, or you're driving along a road and you get that sense that something isn't right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm getting right now with the entire UFO world.
Yeah, and I think that there is information that's accurate coming out, but it's information that really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. You know what I mean? It's little bits and pieces that we already knew anyway. All they're doing is confirming it. But the important stuff that we need to know, we're not being told. We're 100%. Being threatened, we're being harassed, but we're not being given what we need.
Oh, I would agree with you on that. I would totally agree with you on that. And you know what? This is why, you know, I hate to say it. I'll tell you a little example. I'm not sure, Robin, if you actually know this. And when when Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Steve Justice left the To the Stars Academy about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, okay, I had never up to that point interviewed anybody with TTSA. They had dodged all of my media requests, 15 of them to be exact. At one point, I thought we were close to getting somebody on until they asked me to pre-provide questions for them, which is a journalistic no-no.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I never really followed up. So, long story short, after the To the Stars Academy folded, well, it didn't really fold, let's say shifted. I wrote an article called 14 Reasons Why the To the Stars Academy, or I never supported the To the Stars Academy. One of the gentlemen who is still part of To the Stars, Jim Semivan, actually read the article. And through Melinda Leslie, famed UFO researcher and experiencer, who talks to Jim, and I'm going on her words here, Jim said, for someone who had never interviewed a member of the TTSA, I was about 95% right on that article. I missed some stuff, but I was about 95% correct on why the TTSA failed.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, with Lou, I think, and I don't know him personally, but I think he's doing the best he can do with what he's allowed to do. I mean, anytime you come forward, you put yourself at physical risk. I mean, you absolutely do. I mean, he obviously knows a whole heck of a lot more than I do. And I know how much I get threatened. So I can't even imagine what he's living with.
Yeah. You know, and the other problem too that we have is, what is the truth? We don't know what the truth is. My truth is different than your truth, Robin, which is different than everybody else's in our chat rooms. And we don't have anything truthful coming out of the government side outside of the very few videos and words that we have heard. That's it.
I agree completely. I mean, our truth is all based on our experiences.
Yeah. I would like to have that. I would like to have that. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it at all.
I think we deserve it, but we won't get it.
Sure we will. Okay. But here's the problem. You know, you're not dealing with a small portion of America. Now, your country, I believe, has 340 million people or somewhere around there. Okay.
Mhm.
You're not with a tiny population of Canada, which is, around 37, 38 million. You're not dealing with that. You're dealing with 7.5 or 7.75 billion people. It doesn't matter if they are the pygmies down in the Amazon or in Africa or the indigenous of Australia or Canada. It doesn't matter whether the Eskimos or, pardon me, can't say Eskimo anymore. I apologize. Whether it's the lost, the very sheltered civilizations in the Urals, in the northern part of Russia or China, the Mongolians, whoever it may be. All right. It doesn't matter who. It's affecting everybody. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what your sexuality is, what anything is. It is going to affect everybody on this planet. And
it's global.
Absolutely, it's global. And we need to be better. We need to know more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
But the problem that we have is we have a media who doesn't understand or want to cover the topic. We have government officials who aren't really saying much. They're it's kind of like, I won the lottery. I would love to show you my bank account, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mess. It really and truly is. And it's like, you can't get a straight answer. And if you talk to more than one person, you get multiple answers, none of which are the truth. But in the meantime, our people are being abducted. Things are being done to them. And not all encounters are bad. Like the other day when it happened to me, that was a very traumatizing situation that happened. But the weird thing about it was I never felt that they were trying to hurt me. What got to me was I normally, you get used to the missing time. That's not a big deal. It's just like, when you go to sleep and you don't dream and you wake up, that's all it is missing time. What went on with me was I was awake 1 minute and sitting upright, and then I'm 6 and 7 hours later, I feel like I've been drugged. My clothes are on inside out. My cell phones are damaged. Everything's a mess. But the part that got me was instead of missing time, it felt like I didn't exist in the time I was gone, which feels completely different than missing time. Yeah. And it was, I just kept looking at Pat going, my God, I felt like I didn't exist in that time. In that time and space, I did not exist. Now, what went on? I don't know. We did find marks on me. Obviously my clothes had been taken off because my bottoms were on inside out. But it was, I did not exist in that time frame. It was not missing time. It was non-existing. And so it was a lot different. And then a couple days later, something mind spoke to me about watching this movie. And I thought, what? So I go and I find this movie. I turn it on. It wasn't on 30 seconds. Still haven't watched the movie. And I started getting flashbacks. In the flashbacks, they didn't hurt me. I felt like they were not trying to hurt me, but they were trying to show me stuff. I have no idea what I was supposed to learn from what they showed me. But I've had more trauma from that than all the other times. And they've been doing this to me since before I can remember. I mean, the first one I remembered, I was 4, and they told me they'd already taken me before that. So it was just really, really bizarre. And I never felt fear. It was never fear. It was more apprehension of going to sleep, of, a bunch of different things, but never fear. I still haven't felt fear.
It's scary.
It is a very bizarre feeling, but what got me was this feeling, and there's no other way to word it. I wish there was to make it easier to understand. I literally did not exist in that time span.
Right. Well, I know that when I got taken by the green-eyed dude, when I woke up the next morning, where I was implanted, or what I believe, I know I was implanted. I woke up on the table. Where I was implanted on the back of my head, that spot was killing me again.
Ugh.
So I know they got me that time, but the green eyes.
That's crazy.
That's what bugs me. It was the green
See,
eyes.
the only time I've seen the green eyes is I had what looked like Nordics, and they came the first night, and then the second night they brought another one that looked similar to them, only had jet black hair and green eyes. But she had on the same robes that they had on, like these blue and gold robes, but she had the weird green eyes.
Well, the funny part about it, like I said, is the fact that this was a gray with green eyes.
Yeah,
and
that's weird.
I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, that is definitely unique. And it would be unsettling because it's so out of the norm.
Yeah.
It's like it's bad enough you're dealing with them to begin with, but now you get to deal with something that's even weirder than what you normally deal with.
Right.
So just absolutely.
Can you see the chat room?
I can't where I'm at. Is there questions?
Hey, this is what there is a bunch of questions for you.
If you want to read them,
just give me 1 second here. We're going to try something here. I just got to finish editing and then I'll bring them to you. So let me just get this portion done. Hey, Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke.
He's supposed to be sleeping because he had to get up early.
I know. I think Sushi kept on nibbling on his ear. That's why.
Oh my God. That bearded dragon is the coolest bearded dragon on the planet. Like, literally, he could have his own show.
I think he kind of look alike.
Yeah, pretty much. They would be lost without each other.
Yeah. I know Duke's laughing right now. I feel him laughing. Bean Jelly, how you doing? Pinzer Flactum, thanks for coming on in. No, I don't have X-rays. You just
Not
know.
all X-rays pick them up. They don't all get them. I have one in my ear, and the only reason I know that it's there is because when the UFOs are above, it hums and then it drains. And it coincides with the ETs and the UFOs every single time. The Sasquatch have said that I have it in there, and of course, I've not had it X-rayed, but I know several people that have them that the X-rays don't pick them up, but you can feel them through their skin. And then I know of a person that it did pick it up.
Super Duke's hiding now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
He's lurking around.
He's lurking. Can feel him. That's where you got to put. That's where you got to put out his theme song. Super Duke, Super Duke.
Yep. We got to get him a cape. Wouldn't he look good in a cape?
Oh, he needs a cape.
He needs a Bigfoot cape.
He totally needs a. You imagine how much his contact is going to go up when you put a cape on him?
I know. Like, I know how to sew. I'm going to have to make him a cape and put a big SD on it for Super Duke. And then put like a emblem of a Bigfoot.
I'm going to see if this works. Bear with me here.
I'm like, I'm sitting outside because it's actually tolerable right now. But we just had a rainstorm and all these bugs are like buzzing all over the place.
Oh, I hear you. All right. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to remove. We'll go like this. Share screen. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
Okay, that may not work right now. No, it's got to go like this because we need the chat room. There we go. So if I go like this, then are you able to read the chat room?
Yes, I think so. If I can get it enlarged enough, I can. That's all blurry.
All right, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
No, that won't.
You'll
just have to read them.
Yeah, I'll just have to read them. Well, I'm going to, Bomber is asking, how can we tell who's who, aliens versus humans, with aliens roaming around us?
Oh, good question. Okay, first of all, the energy. The energy does not lie. They can fake a lot of things. They cannot fake the energy. The other thing is, and this is what I tell a lot of people, watch the eyes. The eyes
Robin,
are definitely...
I'll be right back, okay? You can talk about all of this. I'll be right back.
Okay. Watch the eyes, because the eyes are definitely going to look different. It's not so much the color, it's the reaction and the reactiveness in the eye. The other thing you're going to notice is when they take possession of a body and insert themselves in it, they can do the body looks, they can do the movement, they can do a lot of things. They cannot completely master the voices. Like, our Sasquatch, they can imitate our voices and they sound dead spot on. These things, even when they do get the voice sound right, they cannot keep it going for a big conversation. So you're going to notice them speaking in very short words, short sentences, not making eye contact, acting like they don't really acknowledge as much as the person that you would have thought would have. So there's some subtle ways that as time goes by, you pick up on to be able to do it. So you'll be able to do it. But the first thing is going to be the energy in the eyes. I can normally pick it up like immediately when I'm around someone. And trust me, I've been up again with people that were definitely an ET and not a human. I was attacked in Pennsylvania. There are subtle ways to tell. If you really pick it apart and look at them, you'll be able to. So, I mean, it's just crazy. They can imitate the body. They can imitate the movement. They can retain the memories. They start watching people from the time they're born. And they spend a lifetime watching them and learning everything about them, every memory, every contact, everything that's ever gone on. When they decide to take possession of that, they remove the soul and then they insert themselves into the body. So now they've taken over the body. But the problem is the voice. That's the biggest thing. The eyes will look funny. They don't have the movement that they should, almost like they're looking through you, which is really odd. And so that's the first thing that always, sets me off to it. And then from there, it's more the voice or lack thereof, or lack of eye contact. Very short sentences, so you can't really pick up on the fact that the voice isn't what you need it to be or what it normally would be. So it just takes practice, but you definitely will be able to do it, Bomber. I have no doubt you will. But I think people more than not, once they are made aware of things to look for, I think we're much smarter than we've ever been given credit for. It's a matter of just paying attention. I mean, not that one of them can't get past us, but paying attention. And I think that there's already been a lot of that in our government, unfortunately. And I think that has a lot to do with the way things are. And I can't see the question, so I can't help anybody with it. I got to wait for Dave to get back, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I can't get to the questions. When we tried to pull it up on the screen and it doesn't show it. It just says, I'm on the show, but it doesn't give me the questions to respond. So hopefully he will be back soon. Back to what we were talking about before is this coming together of the peoples. There's been a lot of people contacting me, telling me, all of a sudden I'm getting like even small contact. And they don't know why, but they feel like they're part of a bigger picture, but they don't know what they're supposed to do about it. And it's really just a lot of people coming forward. And so I finally just said to the Sasquatch, I feel like these people are coming forward for a reason, which I absolutely love. No complaints about that. But there's just been a lot of people. And when I asked them, they said they were building a bridge. And I said, what do you mean you're building a bridge? And they said, we're building a bridge between the people, their people and our people. So it's it's not a literal bridge. It's a figurative bridge. They don't want to live in our world. They don't. We don't want to live in theirs. The cultures are different. They don't mesh. They aren't the same. Their words don't mean what ours do. Their actions don't mean what ours do. But they want to live as what they are, an ancient people, an ancient type of people. Not our type of people, but it doesn't change that they're people. And they want to be able to raise their families and their children without worrying about every 5 minutes somebody with a gun is going to try to run them down, invade their space. Then they defend their space as we would, and they're the ones that get crucified for it. But yet we're going into their homes and tracking them down. And so, that's a problem as well. But everybody, I get a lot of, not everybody, but I get a lot of people, and they're like, well, if they really wanted us to know all this, they just show themselves. Would you show yourself if you were walking around and people were trying to shoot you all the time? Of course you wouldn't. If you were going to go, like, look at, even Ukraine with everything going on there. Is there anybody around here that wants to go unarmed and just walk through the streets? Of course not. It would be suicide. That's what it is for them. So just because they want to be known as a type of people and they want people to accept them the way they are, that doesn't mean they want to walk down Main Street. It doesn't mean that they're going to show themselves. They are becoming more where they're giving people glimpses of them. And that's great. They came out, and they've asked the last 4 or 5 years for people, not only myself, but other people, to come forward, tell people what they are, tell them about their culture, educate them. And that's what we've done. Many of us have done that. However, it's not enough. People still don't want to listen. They don't, and I'm not an expert, but the information they want me to share, some people believe it, some people don't, and that's perfectly fine. I don't take offense to that. But now they're coming forward and they're trying to work with us by connecting people together. Okay, they're connecting all of these people with me so that I can help educate them on what they've taught me. They're coming together so people can see, look at, there are some of us that have built that bridge. And that's what they're trying to get across to our people. They can live their lives. We can live ours. We're not going to invite them to dinner parties and, make play dates with the kids and that type of thing. But they want to be let live. They are not monsters. We're actually, I'm more afraid of our people than I am theirs.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. Are there any other questions? Alex says, I want to hear more about this body swap soul removal thing. I'm new here, but I've been studying this phenomena since a teenager. I'm 40 now. I've never heard this soul removal thing before.
What had happened was somebody that has actually turned out to be a good friend. I met him 7-8 years ago, and he had been having problems with the ETs. They were harassing him. I helped him, or did my best to try to help him. And they were not kind, the ones that were after him then. We got them to leave him alone for multiple years. And he contacted me a year or so ago and said, listen, I was contacted last night. They took me again. And I said, oh my gosh, what happened? And he said, no, these were different ones. These were very kind, very loving, nurturing, not dangerous at all, but they had a message. And he said, they told me to give this message to the woman that I talked to. He said, I have never talked to anybody about what they did to me except you. You are the only one that I've talked to about it, other than briefly to his uncle. And they were specific, the woman that you talk about us to. He said, so I'm supposed to give you this message. And I said, okay. And he had written it all down. Basically, the gist of it was, when they decide who they're going to eventually take possession of, what they're doing is they study you. They study you from the time you pop out. I'm not convinced that they aren't watching our parents before we're even, actually born, but they watch you. They study your movements. They get in your mind. They know your memories. They see every move you make. They know everything that's ever happened to you in your life. They know every person you've ever met. And one thing I've noticed in dream state, because they come after you in dream state too, dream state is real. You can get just as hurt or killed in dream state as when you're awake. I've had broken body parts, I've had bruises, I've had cuts, handprints, you name it. So anyway, they will monitor you and learn all these things. Okay. And they will use memories that you have of other people. They actually do, because I don't know if they think it's going to calm you down or whatever, but like I'll have dreams, vivid dreams that I know are not just a dream. I know it's something going on, and they'll be showing me people that I saw in like 3rd grade. Like, why would I all of a sudden have a dream about somebody in 3rd grade? And so you end up, I call them cover dreams, and you figure out that's when they're messing with you. Now, when they do these swaps, they memorize everything. If you got a cut on your knee when you were 5 years old, they're going to know about it. There's nothing that they don't know. And so when they get ready to take over, nobody really, unless somebody really is paying attention, they're not going to know. They're going to think you're acting odd. Maybe you've had some issues or whatever, but they're not going to think that there's been a possession like that. And so when they get ready to do it, from what I was told, and then I tried to connect with them and ask them questions as well afterwards, when they get ready to do this, they're basically, you're put in a chamber, or a suit of some kind. I've heard rumors of people talk about the little blue pill, and I never really paid attention to it. According to them, there is a blue pill that they use, and they put you in this chamber. Some will use a suit. There's a gas that's administered, and they basically remove your soul. When they remove your soul, they just simply slip in. Now, I have to believe, well, I don't have to, but I choose to believe that what they told me was the truth, because multiple years ago, and this was back in probably 2005, I had an abduction, and the first 3 days afterwards, I was in a trance. Like I didn't even really function or speak. And when it was over, I had gone in, I took a shower, I came out, and there was this creature standing there. It looked like he had the head of a possum and a body of a human. And it's like it literally dove inside of me. Back then, I was doing energy work. Not like as hardcore as I am now, but I was doing it, and I just naturally reacted. And when I blasted with the energy, I literally watched this thing fall out of my body. And it just kind of solidified what I'd always thought that they did. And then I got this message from a third party, that said, I'm supposed to tell you this. And they just simply swap you out, which is really frightening. The message that had been given to me was, tell everybody. Everybody needs to know this. They're not going to believe you. They're going to laugh at you, but you're going to ignore it, and you're going to push forward, and you're going to keep telling people over and over again, because they have to know. Their lives are going to depend on it. So, take the information for what it's meant. This is what I was told to tell people. This is what I'd been warned about. What everybody chooses to do with that information individually is up to them.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me, it took me several months it's one thing for me to suspect all that. It's another to get confirmation. And it kind of threw me for a loop. It really did. Had to do a lot of soul searching before I came forward with it.
Follow up from Alex. What happens to the soul when it's removed?
The only thing they ever said to me, and I don't necessarily know if this is true or not, what I was told by them was they release it into space. In my opinion, if it's released into space, it's going back to God. But whether or not that was the intent that they meant, I do not know.
All right. Another question here from Judy. How does one contact you?
Oh, you can reach me on my email. It is RLYNNE, and then a period. If you don't put the period in, I won't get it. And then FOREST, Forest, people, PEOPLE @gmail.com. And then you can get hold of me that way. And then, if it's something that we need to get on the phone and chat, I'm more than happy to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we all got to work together on this. again, I'm not an expert. Don't claim to be. I don't believe there's an expert in this, but I do know one thing. We have got to come together. We have to work on this together. Nobody can do it by themselves. Nobody knows it all. We've got to come together with what information that we get. And it's like a puzzle, and everybody's going to bring in puzzle pieces, and we're going to put it together, and we're going to figure it out. But we've got to do it together, because if we rely on the powers that be that we've trusted to take care of us, we're in big trouble, because they're not going to be there to save our butts, and we're going to have to figure this out.
All right, let's see if there's anything else here for you. I haven't seen anything. Hey, John Music, how you doing? John, I apologize. I've been swamped this week. Let's try and chat this weekend, man. Send me a message again on the Spaced Out Radio Twitter and on a DM, and I'll try and get in touch with you this weekend. YJ is asking, Robin, what have you changed your mind about along the way in the evolution of your understanding of things?
Evolution as in what parts?
Well, your evolution of knowledge. You know,
I mean, I think when I was a kid, when it came to the Sasquatch, because I'm such an avid animal lover, it was, oh, they're big. I mean, I was 4, or actually younger than that. I was a toddler when my mom said I first saw them. You know, they're animals, they're running around in the woods. And that was my belief system, because that's what I thought they were. And then they were talking to me in my mind. I thought everybody did that. And I thought, well, you know, I can also do that with the dog and the cat. So that to me isn't telling me they're not an animal. And then as I got older and I watched them and I saw them with the writings on the rocks and the things that they were doing and the languages and everything else. And it just became overwhelming. And I think it's a process. I don't think we all start out and say, oh, this is what they are. I think it's a progression. And so for me, the whole evolution with the cryptids, not just the Sasquatch, was going from, these are not just these little things that a little kid is playing with out in the woods. There's a bigger picture to this. You know, by the time I was 4, I was dealing with the ET abductions, and I was looking for stick structures and everything else. So it's just, I guess my evolution would be the progression. It doesn't stop. It's never ending. You will never know everything there is to know, and you will never stop learning. The longer you're involved in it, the deeper the hole goes. It's like the hole in Alice in Wonderland. It's bottomless. It just doesn't ever stop. And you just evolve with it. You know, I for years, I don't want to say I fought it, because I never fought it. I was so excited to be part of it. But I was hesitant to come forward to talk to people about it. And then when I got in my 40s, I was like, you know what? Just don't care anymore. You know, the truth will set you free. And you can't change the truth. And I think, you know, that was a big part of it too.
That's awesome. Nikki wants to know, do you know if your soul was a Sasquatch in one lifetime?
I don't know that. I do believe very heavily in reincarnation. I will say that what they have told me, and they didn't confirm it or deny it, there's some things that they have me do that they told me that I've done for the last 1,000 years. Now, whether that means that I did it as a Sasquatch, I don't know. But I just know that it was created for me, and I've done it for a very, very long time. But I do believe in reincarnation, and I think that during everybody's path with reincarnation, we've been good and bad. How are you going to know if you willfully choose to be good if you haven't experienced both good and bad? And that's the cosmic balance. And we have free will when we're reborn. So how do you know to be good if you haven't experienced both? So I think that we've all done that.
Right. Well, it is that time of the night where, because I have to work in the morning.
You need sleep.
I need some sleep. Robin, thank you so much for being with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Love you to death, my dear.
I love you too, sweetheart. Bye.
these years, very soon we got to meet.
I agree. I agree.
And I would love it. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we can get you and Super Duke up here, or we meet in Montana. Super Dukes. We got to do that.
Or come to the conference in Nebraska.
Well,
we're all going to be there. We're all going to be there.
I got to get a hold of them because I would like to actually speak at a Bigfoot conference.
Well, if you wanted to, I'm sure Harriet would let you. I mean, I can't speak for her, but I'm sure she wouldn't care.
Well, put my name forward there.
I sure will. I'll talk to her.
All right, my dear. You take care.
Love you. Bye. Take care, everybody. Bye.
One of the greatest people in the Bigfoot community. You may believe her, you may not believe her. That's okay. But she is just an amazing, amazing soul, Robin McCrae. I absolutely adore her. And, I've heard so many different Sasquatch people talk about the faith that they put in Robin from Super Duke on down. And, when you get people who've been researching this a lot and they put their faith in somebody like Robin, you have to go through it. YJ, thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed the Dave 101. Appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. Tomorrow night on the show, we are talking cryptids. Tomorrow, David Wilbanks will be here as we research Bigfoot together. It's going to be a fun show, so make sure you tune us on in. And, of course, thank you tonight to Thomas, Lala, Michael, Lynn, Judy, and YJ for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love. And we'll see you tomorrow night, everyone. Thank you for a great week so far. Well, let's finish it off strong tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.